5 o'clock, during our college work session to order. I'm going to ask Councilwoman Jackson to be so kind to give us the invitation, please.
If you bow your heads, dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord God, for another day. Lord God, we thank you for another opportunity to be of service. Lord God, we ask that you allow us to be your ambassadors. Lord God, work through us, speak through us. Let our every member, including this small tongue, Lord God, speak only the oracles of your Holy Spirit. Lord God, you said, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a grievous answer stirs it up. Lord God, we pray that your anointing will fall, that we'll be on one accord, and that your will be done on us. We decrease right now that you may increase in us and through us to the glory of your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilwoman Jackson. Now to the citizens' request, Ms. Baker Nichols, Public Library. Should be. It's up under the...
First of all, thank you for seeing me. And second of all, this is from the children. We made them this morning. So there you go, Mr. Short.
Councilwoman, you have one?
Yeah, I got one. That's a record show that we started off here.
You have one? You have one?
Yeah, I have one.
Councilwoman Jackson.
All made by the little hands of Clark School.
I'm very good.
Okay, how do I stand or just here?
At the podium.
Okay, well, thank you for having me, and thank you very much, and thank you for that lovely prayer. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our heart be acceptable. I'm Becky Nichols, and I work at the Public Library, where we have had a wonderful relationship and continue to. Over the future, I guess I'm here more on a housekeeping kind of a misunderstanding situation. And I think, am I correct that you've got a letter? Did you, President Bowie, did they get the letter? Well, perhaps if not, let me just start over. Since 1989, the library and City Hall have worked together. The City Hall Finance Office processes the payroll of the public library. And that is because we never had benefits. When I first came to work in '76, there was no retirement, no insurance. So over the years, that process began to move forward. And in actually 1986, a little history, Johnny, you may know it, a cigarette tax was passed by the council to support the benefits of the library. We were then offered retirement and insurance. And the way that worked, in order for us to participate in that, we had to become a part of the city payroll. It is strictly a clerical situation. Every 2 weeks, we send our hours over here to your wonderful finance lady downstairs. She processes the checks, 4 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever people worked. Then we come over, pick up the checks, we go back and deliver them, then we do another payroll. At the end of the month, we pay you back specifically. It's a wash. It's a total wash. The city of Selma loses no money at all. It's a housekeeping sort of procedure that makes sure that our employees have retirement and insurance. And it's worked perfectly since 1989. And actually worked up fine up until about October of this past year. I, as a representative of the library, am able to come over and add employees, give small adjustments. Somebody makes an hourly increase, 50 cents an hour. I am able to do all of those things through your personnel office, and it has worked great. It's been working great, perfectly, until I was unable to get an employee. I had a woman to retire, got very sick, so we replaced her, and I came over to City Hall to have her put on the payroll, and I was unable to do that. just hit a roadblock. And so I didn't know what to do, and we need her. We're not a big organization, but I think if you've been over there, we're a busy one, and we need every hand we've got. In fact, right now, I just walked out of the second floor where there must be 50 children right now doing Black History reports. But nevertheless, we're happy. I love we're happy over there. I just need to get this fixed. And so I think we just need to have a new understanding that the library payroll just passes through your finance department, turns around, comes back to the library, we write you a check back, it's a wash. I just need to undo that, and I need to be able to get back over here. President Bowie, I don't know what else to add. I just need to add 2 employees as soon as I can.
Okay, first of all, let me thank you for the work that you do over there.
Thank you.
Selma Dallas County Public Library is a jewel, and it's very important. So I'm going to ask Attorney Madison, if you can get with her, let's do an MOU, memorandum of understanding about the employees, and move forward. We can vote on it tomorrow, council, on the consent agenda. Spell it out. Councilwoman Thomas.
Miss
Becky.
Becky, I see your letter, you sent it out on February the 3rd to,
Is that?
this letter,
You need to
yes. I have it right here, I was reading, I was seeing what date, the date that you sent it out on February the 3rd.
That's correct. That was not my first attempt.
Oh, this is not your first attempt?
No, I've been at this since fall.
Really?
Well, yes, ma'am, but I just decided that, I finally decided to resort to writing, and I haven't heard from this. And I don't want to create a problem, I just want to clear up and get on with the business of the public library.
Right.
Because also too, council, there's no money.
Nothing,
if
no
you're paying-
money, nothing, not one penny.
Well,
Councilwoman.
I was just gonna say, with Attorney Madison, they probably had an MOU in place in, 1989, they probably have something.
There should be an originating document.
Right,
yes.
originating document, and refer back to that and do it every term, if they had
Every
indefinite term.
item.
That's
Right,
right.
every 2 years, updated, or however it's supposed to be done, they bring back before the council.
1989.
Well, actually, the negotiations started in 1986. The formal adoption was November the 24th, 1986.
November 24th, 86.
Have y'all did a MOU in the past, Ms. Smith?
We never have,
There was a formal adoption, it should be something on record.
well, for almost 30 years, it's just been a lovely, wonderful procedure.
Okay, if you can look into that, see what we can move forward with. It may be one already in place. It's word on.
And you said November 24th.
Councilman Short.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nichols, I want to thank you and appreciate you and your staff for all the hard work that you have done at the library. As you very well know, I was a strong critic, very strong critic of the operational level. And I shared the differences of other communities' library as compared to ours. Initially, you know, my plea fell on deaf ear, but then I think you thought it out, and there was some extended hours that was given. It wasn't many, but it was extended hour nevertheless. Because as you just said, that there's students over there now working on the Black History program. As a matter of fact, if we didn't have that extended hour, they had to be out. For that 1 hour, where I think maybe start out 2 days a week, and then you increase it to 4.
Correct.
And I just want to just thank you for that. Just hearing the plea of the community that the library hours need to be more accessible because of the resources that's housed there and because of the poor environment and some cases of our homes. As I said before, a lot of our children don't have world books and encyclopedias. A lot of our children don't have access to the internet. However, the library does. But when the library is not accessible, then it does no good. I just want to thank you for your understanding of my plea, and still not totally satisfied with hours, but something's better than nothing. I just want to thank you for that.
All right, Councilman Johnson.
just add and said thank you for some as well. I talked to you back here a couple of weeks ago. Didn't realize you gave the city 30, 40 years working in the library.
Yes, sir.
42 years.
Yes.
Something that she loved doing. That was amazing. Yes, man, it's amazing. I really want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you do and love them.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for Ms. Nichols? All right, if you can go ahead and get that, attorney, and hopefully we just can put it on the consent agenda tomorrow and move forward. All right,
I do have a question.
go ahead.
Miss, when are we gonna read to the children? Is it time yet or have we missed it?
Starting cranking up in, about April and May.
April and May,
April
okay.
library party.
And you'll send us a little note, reminder.
I will do that.
All right.
President Bowie.
Yes, ma'am.
How soon may I put my employee on the payroll?
Well, hopefully after we vote
After the
tomorrow.
vote tomorrow?
And Attorney Madison,
It should be
in his
fine.
very persuasive way, help us, with this delivery, hopefully we can move forward by this move forward. Right, Attorney?
I don't see any reason why not.
Thank you, sir.
So I would just then go to the personnel office?
I would probably just,
He'll make a report tomorrow.
yeah, make a report tomorrow. Move forward.
So somebody will direct me?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I need?
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll get your contact information now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, just right over there.
Hey, walk next door, don't you say?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
all of you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Sam Walsh,
Yeah.
please come forward, Mr. Walker. Jubilee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I came back to finalize the request that we wanted to make to the city for the annual Bridge Council Jubilee. And
Go ahead.
oh, okay. And when I was here last week, or when we met, last Friday, we I put in my application that we wanted to use both ends of Weissman Street. I mean, I'm sorry, Ward Avenue, but when I came before the council, I didn't make that clear. And so when I said it last Friday, it was new to everybody. And so I do want to include that. As a matter of fact, I do have it already requested in my application, and I had talked to the police department about securing that area as part of the secure area. So I wanted to go ahead and make sure that was approved as we go forward this weekend. Now, the last thing is the sororities and the fraternities are going to all be here on Sunday, and they have us Revive reserved for their activities on Sunday. I think they got a rally from noon to 2, and the plan is for them to we're gonna start the march on Sunday. Normally we have a 1 hour pre-march rally from 1:30 to 2:30. But this year we're gonna have a half an hour pre-march rally from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. Then at 2 o'clock we're gonna leave the church and start our walk down to the bridge. The fraternity and sorority, they plan to end their rally at 2 o'clock also. They're gonna come around and meet us on Broad Street and join up with us. So when we go across the bridge, it'll be just one march going across the bridge. But when we get down to the bridge, we're going to stop and we're going to have a small 30-minute rally at the foot of the bridge on this side before we go across. And that'll give everybody time together that's coming, from Art Revive and other places. So we're going to do a 30-minute rally right at the foot of the bridge on Ward Avenue before we line up and go across. So we anticipate leaving, going across between 3 and 3:15 to start to walk across the bridge, and hopefully by 3:30, 3:45 we'll be finished up. And this year, because we got our gospel concerts going to go after the march, we're not going to do any kind of rally on the other side of the bridge. When we get across, we're just going to turn around and come on back. And we're going to go to the amphitheater for the gospel concert. And so the concert is from roughly from 3:30 to 6:30. And then because this is the 55th anniversary, we're going to be walking back to Montgomery. We'll go out Monday morning up there just past 41 traffic light, and we'll line up there and we'll start walking the 5-day walk back to Montgomery.
Councilwoman Bennett.
the Women's March, is this coming from Arts Revival?
Right.
And this is where you meet at the
Right,
bridge? Will the Women's March meet?
Right, we're trying to meet there from Alabama, like when their front line get to Alabama, we'll be coming to coming to Broad on Alabama. Also, we just then go down to Ward Avenue as a combined unit.
And that's when it's 30-minute rally.
Right, that's gonna be the one, when we all get together, we had a 30-minute rally before we all walk across the bridge together.
Okay, and then you came to the special committee meeting on Friday, and you said that in your meeting with the mayor, he advised you to
Go ahead and use both ends of Ward Avenue.
He's advised you submitting your application.
Right,
Both
I did
ends
that.
of Water Avenue, and then you did that after he advised you to do
Right,
it.
he suggested, yes.
He suggested, okay,
Right.
right. My first word, suggested it.
Right. But I did it with the intention of working with the sororities and fraternities to make sure they had access to what they need on Sunday. Because we really don't think we're gonna be over there but we may have a few vendors over there on Saturday, but most of our vendors will be on the St. James side as we were last year. But for Sunday, the sororities and fraternities, they wanna have a couple of vendors set up over on that side so they can purchase from vendors between 12 and 2 while they're gonna have a couple of vendors set up on that side, but it won't be near the irrigation. It'll be on the side, well, by the old museum somewhere on that side of the street. There won't be more than 3 or 4 at the most vendors setting them over there on that side, just on Sunday.
Any other questions? Councilwoman? Comment?
Mr. Walker, I spoke with you back in November, and we were scheduled to have a meeting on November the 25th.
Right.
That evening, and you informed me at that time that you were willing to meet with the council committee, the ad hoc committee that we had set up, but you were going to have a meeting with the mayor the very next morning.
Right.
Did you meet with the mayor?
Right, that's right. You know, you told me since I was meeting with the mayor to go ahead and go forward with him and go ahead and make my request to him, and that's what I did. And based on our meeting, he suggested that I go ahead and put down on both ends of Water Avenue and the other things that we requested, the use of the amphitheater, things that we had used last year, all those things, I asked those same things of him, and he agreed to, to work with us on those things.
Okay. And so I said there was no need for us to meet, and then
Right.
you meet with the mayor, because the purpose of
But
the
to get
council
everything-
setting up a meeting was when the mayor wouldn't meet with
Right.
the Jubilee Committee. And so now that you all were meeting, we didn't need to have 2 separate meetings.
That's
Just
right.
as soon as you meet with him, come and bring the council the recommendations, because it's going to be the council body that makes the final decision. Do you remember that on the call?
I remember that, but also, when I had his meeting, he said he would bring those things that we discussed to the council, so that's why I didn't follow back up. Because when I finished with the mayor, he said the things that we had agreed on, he would present those, let the council know what we had agreed on in our meeting. So I didn't come back to the council because I thought that's what we had agreed that he would bring those things that we had
With
discussed.
the mayor in November, you were told that, and he hasn't brought it to us, and it's now the week of the Jubilee. I just want to make sure that we have a time frame.
Right. That's why that was the reason I didn't come back before now with those things that we had discussed, because he said he would get those to the council that he would.
Rightly so.
present those.
That's in order. Right.
I'm sorry?
That's in order, I understand it. And so my next set of questions is, are you set up to provide the things that we talked about on the irrigation side initially,
Yes.
before you chose to do something else last year? So are you set to provide the fencing? And are you going to ensure, because it wasn't done last year, that all of the vendors had, and that was a part of our recommendation from this committee, and that the council approved, that they all had grease traps. So are you going to ensure that there's fencing, not just on Ward 3 side, but on Ward 8 side as well, that they have the fencing, because they have sidewalks over there, and we can see that on that side of downtown where we're entering the bridge, that we're having some problems with the infrastructure there, and the bricks are falling down. So are you going to ensure that they're fencing on both sides and that there are grease traps?
Okay, the grease traps are already sitting right behind the St. James, near the St. James platform. They've already been placed there.
And every vendor is going to utilize them, because it's not, I'm just,
Every cookie.
Yeah, right. And we will let them know where the grease traps are. We'll make sure that they know that they have to, well, we tell them in our letter that they have to collect their grease and, dispose of it. properly, but we'll make sure that we know, let them know we have a grease trap already on site for them to go ahead and use that grease trap. Anyone that's cooking.
Because, you know, I want that to be your responsibility because it's your vendors and your event.
Yeah, well, we
And when they report-
we'll take responsibility. Our organization will take responsibility for making sure they know about the grease trap.
And when they are aware of the grease traps and they choose to pour them in our streets, what are you going to do to ensure that our streets are clean?
Well, we're responsible for the cleanup anyway, so we'll make sure that any grease that's spilled or poured out, how we got there, we'll make sure it's clean. Because we're responsible for the cleanup this year. And if we have to do some type of pressure wash or something, we'll deal with those individuals, that situation.
That's first question, that's probably gonna be key. We don't want to create another.
No, I mean, just to get the grease off the top surface, it's not gonna, we need to do it out. That's what the fire department came down with their hoses and pressure washed, when they did the cleanup. So I mean, it won't be no damage to any of the city property.
Okay, so you said you're gonna make sure the cleanup is done, but I haven't heard you say that we're gonna make sure the fencing up is on both sides.
That was something. No, the idea for the fencing on the side for the cleaners was to keep vendors off of the new irrigation system, the new sprinkler system. Okay, we don't anticipate having vendors on that side near the sprinklers, so we won't need the fencing because we won't. But it will. Now the only thing that there will be some people walking on the grass, even if we're not over there, because there's so many people that's going to be down there that day. But we won't have any of our vendors or anything close to that. They'll be on, like I said, they'll be on the opposite side of the grass. There won't be nobody near the grass that's from us. And so that means that, all our traffic will be on the other side of the street. It won't be on the side where the grass is located. But like I say, I can't stop folks from walking on it, but we won't have no vendors setting up nowhere near where they'll be, close to the grass and cause any damage to any of the sprinkler system. Now I can assure that.
So I guess we're not speaking the same language right now. I just want to make sure that I understand because I'm going to have to vote on this.
Okay.
Essentially what I'm hearing you say is we're not going to provide fencing because I heard you earlier say that you have a few vendors mostly on Sunday, but now you've just come back and said we won't have any vendors over there. So which one is it?
I'm saying I won't have vendors on that side where the grass is located. There will be vendors on Ward Avenue on the side by the old museum. That was our vendors. The only vendors that we have on that side of Ward Avenue will be over along in front of the old museum near the newspaper, near the Silver Time Journal. There won't be any that I'm working with on the side where the grass is located.
Let me ask you one more question. I wasn't here for the meeting. Will you all be using the amphitheater at August?
Yes. That was part of what we requested was the amphitheater for the entertainment.
Do we have any meeting minutes or do we have anything in writing of everything that you requested for the members that were not here that we can become abreast of what actually your request is and what we're voting for?
Now, I can go back and look at my application, but if I recall, I only put the streets and the things that we was getting from the city. I don't think I put the amphitheater and the Evans building in the application, the parade application. Those are things that had been agreed upon by the mayor, and I didn't put them in writing when we agreed on it.
You realize
I requested in writing when I gave them the request in handwriting what things that I was asking for, but we never did make any formal letter of agreement or recommendation.
Can you just put it in writing, Mr. Walker?
I'm sorry?
Can you just put it in writing and give it to them?
Yeah, I got it wrote down in my notebook. I didn't turn it in. I went over point by point what we was asking for.
You can't just give me a copy.
I can get you a copy of that. I'll get it typed up and give it to you in the morning.
Thank you. All right, Councilwoman.
Thank you, but Councilwoman Jackson, you have answered my questions. I just wanted to ask about cleanup, and you have answered those satisfactorily. Thank you.
Okay.
And to my understanding, you all are paying for the Evans building, correct?
Right, paying for that would be in the way of the convention center. That's right.
what about the amphitheater?
No, we didn't pay for the amphitheater. That was the same thing last year. We didn't pay for the amphitheater last year. So we did the same thing last year. We paid for the Evans building, and they waived the fee on the convention center and on the amphitheater.
That was on one side of the street, when it was gonna be like gravel on one side of the street.
Real quick, on Saturday night, after everything's been finalized, y'all gonna do a little small cleanup that night because you're gonna wanna come and clean for Sunday morning, and then you're gonna do your final cleaning Sunday night after everything over?
What we try to do is we go and empty all the trash cans on that Saturday evening.
Right.
We have about between 20 and 30 trash cans situated throughout the festival.
Right.
And my crew will come through Saturday evening as the vendors break it down and go through and empty all the trash cans and put it down. And then we come back started out next Sunday morning.
And I think some of the vendors can really can help out by cleaning up the area themselves, around the area. So if you can do that, that'd be a big burden off your home.
Yeah, and we can ask them to do that too. And
Just
if they
like
bag it up and just leave it, we can get it if they
Right,
just
that's
bag
right.
up in the trash that they have and leave it as we empty the can. We can get their bags and go to it.
I seen a lot of them did that last year, so they did help out.
It wasn't, the check cleanup wasn't too bad last year,
Right.
to be honest. What other questions?
You mind if I ask some more questions?
Councilman Shirley,
I'll defer.
Just right quick. First of all, do you recall that the agreement last year by the committee, the recommendation by the committee was for Jubilee 2019? We said Jubilee 2019 and then we would come back and renegotiate. So I heard you say that that's what we did last year, but we stated last year this is just for this year. So do you recall that last year? That's just a yes or no because we got to follow up.
Well, yeah, I remember that.
All right, and do you recall that last year that we said our vendor fee was going up to $100, and did you include that in your fees? Because that was the recommendation for Jubilee 2020, because it was our recommendation for Jubilee 2019, and you all asked that we not do it, give you all time to get the information out, and we said that we would.
I remember asking you not to impose it last year. Now, as far as an agreement to do it this year, I don't know if we ever reached that agreement. I don't remember reaching that agreement. I thought we would come back and talk about that. But I do remember asking y'all not to use it last year. Well, I mean, it's in the minutes. If it's in the minutes, but like I said, I don't remember. I knew we said we would talk about it. I knew we said we would come back and talk about it this year.
Councilman Shirley.
I just want to wish the organizer of the Jubilee much success. The spirit of the Jubilee is recognized in the struggle that took place 55 years ago. It was an ugly time in our city. And I'm praying that whatever comes about in this particular Jubilee, and any other Jubilee, the city is involved, the city is a partner, and we just want the Jubilee to continue to be recognized. So what transpired here in Selma, Alabama will never ever be forgotten.
All right. All right, any other questions from Mr. Walker? Mr. Walker, if you get that to the first.
I get that right to tomorrow.
All right, any other questions from Mr. Walker?
Yeah, where can we find the agenda? I need it badly.
Believe it or not, I just finished going over it for the last time to make sure there was
I
no
know it's
last.
tedious work.
They're actually copies out, they're running copies now, so we'll have it circulated starting tomorrow.
Do you mind putting it in our box tomorrow? I
I'll
got some guests coming in from out of town.
You can get that.
This,
Okay.
Councilwoman Thomas?
yes, this is a question, it's not to Mr. Walker, but it's referring to Jubilee. President Boyd, did you make sure that we talked about it?
In fact, yeah, I think Alan did try to,
Okay.
out in the paper, and I think we need to notify the businesses downtown that only vendors would be in the Jubilee area and not all over town. And we did meet with the chief of police, but they're not in the Jubilee area, that he would shut them down.
One last thing was, we primarily talked about the food folks sitting up outside the festival area and all up and down Alabama and all over. But there was another category that I forgot to discuss was those walkers, the people that walk all over town with the t-shirts and they running up the folks before they get out the gates with their t-shirts on their arms. So, and then some of them pushing those push carts and stuff, so they need to be dealt with also because that's also infringing on our access.
He said all vendors,
So yeah. So I know we talked about food in particular, but I want to make sure those others was included also.
Yeah, we included that.
Okay. Anything else?
Any other questions for Mr. Walker?
Good luck.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Now make sure I get that to you tomorrow. Thank y'all.
Yeah. We're gonna go with Mr. Ray. You up to bat, man.
Go ahead. I did want to add the other thing to
Okay.
something that paid for the recreation department.
Y'all pardon me, I've got, had the flu a couple of weeks ago, beat that, I've got fluid behind my right eardrum, I'm kinda hard of hearing tonight. So if I ask you to repeat yourself, that's why I'm going to see Dr. Guido, who I love. He's gonna fix me up Wednesday, he's gonna put that thing in there and pull that fluid out. Hope you don't get none of the brain when you pull it out. I don't know if y'all ever been to Dr. Guido, he's something else, he's good. I got a couple of things I left on your, desk there. I want to update you on the cave-in on, down on the riverfront. Since I was here back in January, believe it or not, right after that, one Sunday afternoon, I got my son out and we got on the old pontoon boat, rode up river. Now that's for the river road's 30 feet. It actually hadn't started raining. Because I wanted to see the outlet pipe that came out. And if you look in here, in this, what I gave you tonight, a couple of photos. It's the last photo. And it looks like, if you think, I mistook the picture and it looks funny because it looks like the pipe is going up that way. That's the way it's going. And you can see water running out of it. But it is severely corroded. And I suspect it's that way all the way back. Now, did y'all should?
Yeah, we have one.
Okay.
Should we have one or two?
Oh, that's
Should have there's two separate, letters. Only one of them has photos in it. I think I left two on everybody's.
Get
one,
Councilman Randolph or Councilman.
Take a 2 minutes, Councilman Sure.
Anyway, this kind of changed things for the solution. What I realized is that at the original cave-in, where you see and I explained to y'all that night, it looked like a brick pipe, round pipe. It pretty much ends right where that cave-in is, the big cave-in. And then somewhere along the way, I'm assuming probably in the 60s or the 70s, they put in that metal pipe. Because that, for us older people will remember the old boat ramp before they built the city marina. And they finished it in about 1968. That's where the boat ramp was. And they had filled all of that in. And I'm sure what they did, and I don't have the records on this, they just put a metal pipe in out to the river, filled in over. Well, after 40 or 50 years, that has corroded severely. And on the other picture there, and I put this in my letter, on the other picture, you've got some new holes that have developed in the last month. And if you can see this drone photo you see right there, I flew my drone Friday morning when it was sunny. The only day it's been sunny in about 3 or 4 weeks. But anyway, you can see the arrows where the new holes have appeared. And what that tells me is, and there may be some more holes up under that side. What that tells me is that whole section of pipe has got to be replaced all the way to the river. And what we did on, I think several of y'all on the council, back in 2016, the problem down on Church Street, right in front of Arch Revive, we had a similar problem that we needed to go all the way to the river. And you can't put concrete pipe because it comes in 8-foot joints. You can't put it out there because it'll fall off in the river. So what we're proposing now is do just like we did on Church Street, is we'll put ductile iron pipe. And ductile iron is like it's iron, or cast iron, same thing. And we put flanged joints, and we recommend putting in about 60 feet of it, and that anchors that pipe out, and it anchors it back into the embankment, the bank of the river. But it'll allow us to stick out a little bit, just like the picture you saw of what used to be there. Anyway, and then we also took into consideration, I think Councilman Johnson mentioned it, the hole up there next to the behind Major Brummels. There's already a little bitty hole right there to play.
Carpet. I mentioned.
Oh, Carl did, that's right, you mentioned putting the camera. Okay, I'm gonna address that in a minute too, it's in here. Yeah, Carl Bowling did, anyway, so now instead of 100 or 110 feet of pipe, we got about 225 feet we need to put in. And, so I had to revise my estimate. And then since we're going to the river, at the river bank, we've also got to put riprap on down there. That's totally different than I had anticipated. So I've got a price in there. On the second page of my letter, you know, now the engineering did not go up because y'all authorized me to go ahead anyway. $234,800. We were able to Friday go out and do the topographic survey, the engineering design. Maybe by the end of this week we'll be close to having everything designed where we can put it out for bids. Obviously for that amount we don't have to advertise in the paper, apply to the state competitive bid law. So it'll take about 30 days to actually get bids. Maybe hopefully they'll come in less. And generally they do, you know, how much less, I don't know. That I just wanted to update y'all on all that. Keep y'all, you know, where we're going.
I have a question, President. Go ahead. Have you put the fence up yet down there? Because, you know, we have, have you?
The answer to that is, you was not my, that's not a part of mine, but I think there's been some talk. Henry is not here.
It's up?
I think some kind of fence.
They didn't put it up as a, right.
Yeah, they put a fence up.
And they put the fence up. They were going to get with somebody to put a fence up around that. And you see now the hole, there's more holes.
Yeah.
That somebody can fall in.
Keep from anything happening to anyone. We need to, that fence needs to be
Right.
immediately put up. I'm going down there tomorrow.
It needs to be up.
It needs to be up.
But I do think, I may be wrong, but I think that Henry Thompson was going to coordinate that, if I'm not mistaken.
Ms. Wade, can you talk the other day of when, Henry, I think it was in your office?
Yeah.
A fence supposed to be going, you put up?
Yeah, I think he did, I
want to say, what I'm looking at, I saw some things in the
he
ground.
was checking with the fence company, I think it was about $7,000, he said.
Yeah.
It looked like I saw something, it looked like I saw for whatever, but I'm trying in there to make sure, but it looked like I saw something like this.
I'll text him, see what
Right,
happens.
yeah, please.
Oh, and also I want to point this out, Councilman Johnson mentioned the last, when we discussed this originally, put the camera in there. And that's easy to do, but it's mighty dangerous to do it right now.
Right.
So I put it in my budget, you'll see on the second page, I put $3,000 for that. We'll do it during construction. I guarantee you, we gotta replace that pipe from Major Grones to the river. There's no other, I mean, the evidence is there. But as far as what we need to know, if there's any more damage to that drainage structure back towards water outlet.
That's my point. That's one of the reasons I think.
And so what we can do is once we're in construction and the contract, we got a big contractor there with a big excavator, big backhoe, put a trench box down in there and make it safe for people to get in. Then we can get with the video people and get them to put their camera in there.
So my sister's going that far, then you gotta come back later and do it.
That's right.
You don't get it all done while you're at it.
Well, you're gonna have to fix this. You know, it may be that it may not be as in bad shape.
Right.
That's my thought. Anyway.
But that camera will tell us a lot.
The camera will tell us, and then we did that a few years back on
Law, sure did.
Sure did.
So we already voted on this, President Bowie, to come to the
Y'all, yeah, you did. You voted maybe go ahead and design and get bids, and then I'll just bring the bids, well, they'll be open right here.
Yeah, what we did,
And we'll just see where they come in. That's all we can do.
All right, any other questions?
I just want, Henry responded back via text that a fence will be installed on Friday morning.
Yeah, I knew Henry was handling it.
All right.
I got it. Okay. Then on the second letter, the second letter that I got on there, and there again, I talked to Henry probably back before the first of the year. The city is it's grant application time coming up for your CDBG grants through a day. You can only submit one. And in the past, I think 2 cycles that we've gotten funded, we've done drainage. We've got a lot of drainage problems all over this city. I think everybody knows that, especially in the last 3 weeks. And, according to my little weather gauge, it's usually pretty accurate. As of this afternoon when I left, in the month of February, we've got almost 12 inches of rain, 11.8 or something like that. And that's a lot. And we were able last Thursday, this past Thursday, to ride around most of the day. Meredith did. Y'all, everybody here knows Meredith. And took pictures of the drainage problems in areas that we knew of. Now you can apply for anything. You don't have to do drainage, but drainage is what you've been successful in getting the grants approved for. Grant application deadline is June the 12th, Friday at noon. And you just can't submit it by then. There's a process, it takes a good 60 days or so to go through that.
So are we working on that already?
Ma'am?
Are we working on it already?
Oh yeah, been working on it.
It's every other year too.
It's every other year.
Frank Dobson doing that? It's
Frank, yeah, Tom Biggie, Frank Dobson, and Brandy Wilkerson. I've spoken with them probably once a week since the first of the year about that. And I was waiting on that rain, believe it or not, we had last Thursday. We've had some heavy rainfalls, but they've been in the middle of the night. I can't get pictures in the middle of the night. But we got some good ones Thursday. So, and the council y'all as a whole have to pick the areas that we do. And I'm not going to, we will tell you where we know there's a problem that we've seen, and then y'all decide which ones are your priority. Now, we will start between now and your next council meeting, if that's what y'all want to do. I can put some numbers together on all of these. That's what I think y'all need to know. Because last time we did a total of 7 little areas in 3 or 4 wards. I know we got some of Ms. Thomas, Ms. Jackson, Ms. LaShore, and Ms. Minchie, your wards, and got some in Randolph's, yeah. And so we hit 5 out of the, I guess 7, 8. Oh, we got some in yours too.
Yeah, with on
St. Anne Street.
Yeah.
So we hit 6 out of the 8. And Susan's and Carl's areas, for the most part, don't qualify for the CDBG. You have to be low and moderate income persons, those benefiting, have to be at least 51%, but you lose points if you're under 80%. And so that's hard to find in some areas of the city. Anyway, y'all will see the areas, and I've got the first on the second page of my letter, the first 7 areas we actually looked at last time. And I will say number 6, there at JL Chestnut and Broad Street in front of the service station there, that doesn't qualify. I know it's a lot of water there when it rains hard, but there are no beneficiaries, no houses right there. So, but I still listed that. And then 8 through 14 were areas that we've identified since then. But y'all know your wards better than I do, although I know them pretty good. But I don't know them as good as the individual council people know your wards. And if you've got drainage problems, just call me. Every one of you's got my phone number. I know that for a fact, because I hear from you. And I think Miss Thomas has got me on speed dial. But I'll call you back normally. I'll call you back. I may not get your problem solved, but I'll at least work on it.
I asked the public works sometime, especially like on, I think Green Street, and sometime I think it's on Lawn Street by the schools, Clark School area.
Okay, yeah.
And the water is not, it's like a little flood area, but the guy said that the pipes were small back in the day when they put the pipes down, drain pipes. Why is it the water receiving takes so long for it to go away? It's like it sits there for, it'd be like a flood area.
There could be several answers to that. Number one, they could be small. Or, I'm gonna give you a prime example, and we fixed it in the last project. Everybody knows on Lapsley Street, right there in the 800 block of Lapsley Street, generally, not a couple of blocks of the old ice house, I mean, it'd get up in those houses down there. Y'all remember that? But it eventually drained down.
Right.
And what we found was that pipe was about 3/4 of the way filled with dirt.
Yeah.
And then we replaced it, and there hadn't been a problem since. That's a good example. That could be what's happening.
Well, who can we get to check these streets out, all the drainage, for the water can run out a lot more, quicker? You know, we talk about it now, because of doing all the rain. But especially when it's summer, spring, we need to get somebody to go ahead and check out all these drainage and, see and clean them out.
I wasn't aware of that area, but I'm gonna look at that, and I may go tomorrow, because there's 100% chance of rain till about this time tonight.
That's off, Jail Chestnut,
Park Elementary.
Yeah, all in that area, sometimes it just floods, so that.
Yeah, and the good thing is, there's a big, drainage line, not on Lawrence Street, but a block over.
Yeah, please check that.
We'll look at that, I'm basically looking at that.
Yes, I need that information, to move forward with a project that I'm doing in my ward. You know, I told you about, several years ago in our community, you know, about that drain, that sewage drain. You know, you told me it's not sewage, but I need it in writing.
Oh, you talking about what we looked at last week?
Yes, I need that in writing.
Well, it may have been an old sewer line. We looked on the sewer maps, and it does not show up on the sewer maps. It's a sewer line.
By you being the engineer, I need that.
You need a letter, and I told you I'd bring you one night.
Did you bring my letter?
No, but I'll have it in the morning. Is that soon enough? I'll call you
Okay.
and let you know we've got it ready.
Yes, I need that documentation in writing.
You
that,
can
It's more than right, that's.
Can you email it to her tonight? Can you email it to her tonight, Ms. Thomas?
Can I email it to her?
Email it to her tonight.
I guess I can.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
I gave you my email.
Okay.
You ain't got it.
Text it to you. You got my phone number, I know that.
On AG,
Yeah.
who's responsible for AG, the work that's going on now?
Well, that's the first area they started. There's some problems out there, we can get him.
Yeah,
He's not finished.
I
He's
know,
not
you
finished. He's got some
already blocked
curves.
off at first so that people can't go in and out of it, but now they're going in and out of it. It's a rough and bumpy road. I get
Okay.
20 million calls a day about it. So maybe you might want to rope it off because it's a very bumpy and dangerous
I'll
ride
get
because
the
it's
contract
unfinished.
out there tomorrow.
Would you tell them to kind of detour people away from that like you did at first? Because it's a very bumpy and dangerous ride in that car.
I'll get him on that tomorrow. See, we've had down in Miss Thompson ward,
Yeah.
you know, of course, it's been wet, it's been raining.
Yeah, you been back there about 10 times.
Huh?
We done did about 10 times.
Yeah, and then like in Sam's on Primrose, which is in Prairie Soul, this is the worst.
So you just ask them if they can get on there tomorrow and go ahead and play the detour there.
I'll get him to come out there tomorrow and take a look.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Hall? Any other questions? All right, thank you. Attorney Madison, ready?
President, before we go on, can I ask you a question? That Escalade, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, that Escalade, whatever you call that, that thing we did, is that thing still working?
We can check.
Yeah, we need to find out, cause them dishes in Ward 8 need to be clean, man. Bad.
But if not, I can talk with attorney, I'm not attorney.
Please look at the.
Probate judge, none of them now.
Right.
See, can we use here?
Okay.
I've got something too. It has come to my attention just today, as a matter of fact. Even when we have emergency situations, we still need to get bids. So I needed to bring that to Mr. Hog's attention too, that we still need to do that.
But we just pass the bids, just let them know at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and also, I'm gonna add some stuff, well, I'll bring it up a little bit later. But I'm gonna go on and say this now before I forget about it. Tomorrow, I'm gonna ask for an executive session, just a very short one, tomorrow. When this is first start the meetings.
Well, I guess what we probably can do.
You just gonna get it pretty short.
If you don't mind, Councilwoman, if we could just have it about 4:30.
That'd be fine, that'd be great.
4:30, then we can just come in and call the meeting,
All right,
and
that'd be
then go
great.
into the executive session.
Right.
How long would it probably be, about 10 minutes?
10, if not really, unless other people have another question at this time.
All right, Mr. Hall? Attorney.
Someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Selma High, and we all were wondering why she was still sitting there. I almost texted you to see if you need to be recorded, and Councilwoman Jackson said yes.
Okay, all right. We have the athletic director from Selma High.
That's your business, I right?
Yes, Miss Ashley, she's gonna speak about it.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm coming on behalf of Selma High School Athletics Department for our track program. I'm also the head track coach for the boys and girls team at Selma High School. This is going into my 4th season there. My concern is right now, and I've talked to Mr. Johnson about it earlier, that now we're not able to have track meets at Block Park this season, which is one of our biggest fundraisers for the past 2 years. We've been in connection with Wetumpka High School due to the fact of the track not being resurfaced. And so this is my big concern because again, we're not able to run and bring schools in to compete. And also not just with Wetumpka, but also I'm standing in the gap for Morgan Academy because they also use the track too for track meets, which both of those have brought in over 30 teams in one season.
All right.
And so right now we are both losing money for our programs because we're not able to have those track meets this year. And so obviously there's no way we can be able to resurface the track because we have our track season starts right now. But the other thing, I want to make sure that we can be able to practice over at Block Park like we have been doing for the past 4 years. We have been practicing, not, and I know right now it's closed, but at the stadium, we have been practicing so that we can practice. I know that there was some information that said that nobody could run or practice over there. So just trying to make sure and clarify that we can do so.
Yeah, thank you. We have met with several gentlemen with some bids on the track out there. And we also, they told us that it ain't the time for us to get a research because of the weather. We also asked them about, is it safe for the kids to practice on? And they said no. Because of the slippery of the track, and plus there's a lot of, I guess you want to say tar, whatever it's not there. We also had a gentleman that originally had the track done, Mr. Houston Young, and he opened the state, where he worked with the state track meet, and we talked with him as well. I met with him, as a matter of fact, I just sent Councilwoman Jackson some more bids in the research as well. Pretty much we did talk to one gentleman that said that possible he could have got the track done because our weather is not as bad as it is like in Tennessee, some other area, but still it's gonna take some time. Not only that, we talking about money. Right now, we're gonna be close, I know over $100,000 to $200,000 to resurface that track. And we ain't talking about patching. Even you patch it, you're gonna probably look anywhere from 50 to 100,000. Then you have to come right back and try and redo it again. It's just a waste of money. Might we get it done right the first time and be done with it. I understand where you at, myself personally, and we did everything and asked all the questions needed to ask. But when it comes to kids' safety, again, they end their career because something we want them to go and do right now, and they end up spraining their ankle and can't run no more. then they're gonna hurt real bad. But right now, don't think we don't want, see, I ran track. I don't think we don't want the kids to run, it's just a safety part of it. But now, again, I'm just one person. If the other council says move on, y'all good with it, it is what it is. Myself talking to the professional, they say it's not fit to let the kids work out what they're doing.
Well, we have practiced, I mean, you can practice, anytime you practice, you're subject to an injury. We do have a trainer out there, and we run the track, or we run the grass. And we have nowhere right now to run in Selma at all. And so, you know, my concern is that's we have a program that does not have the facilities, the correct facilities to compete or have the opportunity to compete. And so, you know, there are some lanes out there that are open that we can use on the track instead of using the whole track. So that, if I may.
Councilwoman Jackson, and Councilwoman Benjamin, and Councilwoman Thomas.
I think when we initially heard about it in December, we went out to the track and looked at it ourselves. And of course, we're not professionals in that area, but you were able to put your foot on it, and the great meeting started coming up and said, this is something that we need to do. So immediately, I told you then, and immediately I contacted Azimuth, who's writing our contract. And they said, we know the perfect grant, and if we can get it by December the 31st, it's a $250,000 grant. It's a competitive grant we can submit it. We couldn't get a bid. Have I not asked you for it several times? We just got it when we met.
Right. And it was a watch bid that he gave us. It's just like, I'm tired of them, let me just write up something. Right. Instead of giving us an itemized bid.
Right. And so then after that, I received a call from Coach Turner while I was away at the drug court meeting during our last work session. And she's been calling consistently because she's extremely concerned about her players and her children. And I told her I would ask the question. And so I called the gentleman out of Tennessee that we met, and I said, is there any way that we could patch it, that you could put enough down for them to run this season? Is there any way you could allow them, is it safe enough to have meets or practice this season? And then let us get through the season and you all come in this summer and try to fix it all together. He said it would be upwards of $100,000 and it wouldn't last a season. And you're gonna pay that much to get it redone. So it wouldn't be in your best interest financially to do it that way. And I said, is there any way that they could practice on it? He said, I'm not going to tell you that in my professional opinion, because if something happens and you all produce something that I said, we could also be sued. And so, and that's what I conveyed to Coach Turner. Now, I have got another request that they be able to use the equipment. And I don't know if you're saying the grounds, but everything that I've heard, everyone I've been able to talk with, and I asked them to produce it in writing for us, along with the bid, that the conditions were not such that anyone could practice on them. And so I'm awaiting that bid because they're going to do it the right way and itemize, and then they actually said it would be referenced for other bid. They'll get with the clerk's office and make sure that the bidding process goes as the way it needs to, because it's going to be well over the bid number. But we've done everything that we can, unless we allow them, unless there's something we can talk to our insurance company about letting them run on the grass. I don't know the safety of that, but I know this track, I can't do it. I couldn't imagine someone turning their knee or doing something, and it could happen, a freak accident could happen at any time, but if a freak accident with deplorable conditions equals a lawsuit, equals, you know, you knew better, you didn't do better, and seeing as though it's on record, and we've discussed it, and I mean, that's just a lot of evidence to say that we shouldn't.
Well, the equipment that I'm asking for is like the blocks or the hurdles that we can use.
And I'm in agreement. Right, I'm in agreement with using the
anything we got.
Right, and I don't know, I guess we need to ask.
Yes, it's there. We don't even know what it's out there. Have you seen it there? We need inventory, we need to check with Terry Jackson and see what's there on there, just to stay in working condition. Okay.
Everything we asked about utilizing, you know, is it safe or, I don't know. So we need to ask about that and see what we can do for them.
I don't know
But
that. When you say running grass, you're not talking about grass and stadium. You're talking about grass y'all been working on somewhere. What about the track out to the hut? Y'all been working out using that track?
It's the same, I mean, it's all concrete, it's gonna be the same. You have more rubber out at the block park than you do at the big field and, at Selma High. So there's
Have y'all ever considered the school getting that research out there
I
working
think
out?
that's something that we're gonna have to consider,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to consider.
Right.
Because, you know, again, we're in a bind, but we're losing, our fund, we're losing opportunity for fundraising because we have to go state and pay for things throughout our season.
Because it would be cheaper
And
just,
you're losing, you know, and then we're bringing in the teams, that's revenue for the city, you know, that we have been working on the past 2 years from Selma High and Morgan Academy. So that is something that we are going to have to look into and discuss from that standpoint.
I think that's a great idea to partner and see if the schools could help us resurface the facility. I think when initially the schools, or we appointed the board, or they had under us, and we worked together in some type of way, and that is not the case. And it's still our responsibility to maintain those fields, but you know, we know where our funding is, and I don't know if I know we haven't, let me say that, we haven't appropriated $200,000 to resurface this year, just like we hadn't appropriated $234,000 for the sinkhole. So there's just a lot of things that are coming at us at this time.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. You said we need somebody to get it right the first time. We had a chance to get it right the first time, I wish we had. We had this bond money, and this track was in there. And
2016, 17?
2012. 2012.
okay, did the track research?
So I'm gonna finish. So soon after, the track at that point, it was being reported that the track was it started crumbling, and we should have gotten with the company at that particular time and started taking care of it. So I agree, we need somebody to do it right the first time, but this first time will be actually the second time. But the first time we had money to get it right, and sometimes when you hire people to get it right, they don't get it right. And when it's being reported months later that it's not done right, that is the time to take care of it. I'm wondering, Madam Treasurer, in the bond money, the recreation money is gone, right? I just asked her that. And the bulk of the money went to IT, correct? Correct. Is IT using the money? Like, can you give us a balance? Are they using it? Do they still use it? And is it lawful for us inside those line items to move those line items around? And I guess the legal question is for the attorney, but what's your knowledge to?
Based on my conversation with the bond attorney, it would take a council vote, but I will give the attorney information to our bond attorney, which is now Brad Cherry, and he's with Maynard Cooper.
And would you give us the balance?
And I will give the balance tomorrow.
Because the book went over there to that area, correct?
Correct. And we have $12,000 that's available in finance that can also go towards that.
So 12,000 is available
in finance that we have not used.
In finance, okay.
So I'll see how much we have in total remaining.
Okay. I wish if I was thinking with all the land I have at Cedar Park, when I was building the walking trail, I could have built a running track right next to it with all the land we have over there at Cedar Park. Could have just built a track and somehow could have run over to Cedar Park. But that's something for us to forward think about. Also, Mr. Attorney, so I'm going to ask this, and then I'm going to be serious about asking it, and you just let me know whether it's good or whether it's bad to even go there. So we're talking about the hazards of the young people running on the track. And I don't think we're talking about the grass. We're talking about the track, correct? That the track is not appropriate and everything. is it appropriate or not that they waive all liability concern? Let's just say they were to use the track. That Selma High and Morgan Academy waive all liability against the city, or is that just ludicrous?
My instinctive reaction is it's ludicrous.
Okay.
Because all the discussion, and this is my first time hearing the discussion about the track tonight, the condition, any known condition, dangerous condition, raises a rebuttable presumption that you knew better than to have allowed someone to use it to begin with.
Okay.
Even if they waive liability, you could be still possibly held liable into some forms of contract law and recovery theories. I just think about the health and welfare of the children, the students.
Okay.
I
And
would
so
say
when
no.
the coach brings them out to the public track, she's responsible for her young people, right?
Right.
Okay, you still bring them to the public track, right? The larger one that you all use.
We still use that.
Okay, so it's a public track.
Yeah, and
Councilman. I had Councilwoman Youngblood.
I mean, all of our tracks are our tracks, and all of our tracks
yes.
are public track. My
Yes.
walking trail, his walking trail, everybody who has a walking trail, anybody can come and run on our tracks or walk on their tracks
Sure.
at their own risk.
Sure,
Yes.
sure. And the issue about the grass is a whole different situation. The grass is God's earth, and He's in charge of that. But I would think that it's a very tenuous situation to allow someone to use it if we know it's not in shape to be used, even if they waive liability. I would.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that part because I know the students, they will still use the track.
Yeah, and
I mean, not the gated track,
Yeah.
but they will still use the public track just as people go every day, drink a bottle of water and use our track. So they
Right.
still will use it at their own risk.
Right,
Yeah.
and they always do. There's something called assumption of risk too, a theory that if you know something could be dangerous and you do it anyway,
Yeah.
then you've assumed the risk
Right.
of usage. So there are two ways to look at it. I just feel and you preface your question very, very well. I would
thought about it.
be extremely hesitant to allow the usage of the track, knowing it's not in
And I was
good
speaking of
order.
the gated track on that one. I was speaking of the gated track that has to be unlocked by the city of Selma. But we have many other tracks that are open to the public and they can go at their own will.
Sure.
Councilwoman Youngblood.
Thanks, Mr. President. Do we know, or have we pulled what we actually did when we redid the track? And if there's a warranty and how long the warranty was?
I think the warranty is about.
Well, let me tell you, I was just now looking at doing new tracks and where they were and all that. And I saw one was for 15 years, one was for 10 years, one was for 12 years, and one was for 20 years.
All right.
But I seemed, I mean, that was just kind of scrolling through right here. There's one in Iowa, one in Florida, one in California, one in, looking at those. But now I also seem to remember when we were just doing this, and, granted, you and Councilwoman Benjamin and it was two other newbies, in BL, and one other, there were 5 new ones. Monica, yeah, and we were all kind of green as the gourd, and so it was sort of easy to we were just going, yeah, initially. So it was real easy for things to look good. I know, speaking for myself, and we would just, figures would come and not realizing that they would change, how easily things could change, and quickly things could change. Well, by the time the bond came back and it got voted on, I remember Coach Reese coming back
And there having been a lot of figures changed on some of the things. Of course, I don't remember what they were. I don't know if it was on the track. I don't know if it were tennis courts or what. But I remember we had to do, just instead of getting new things, we got redos on some things. I don't know what those things were on, but it might be worth getting the clerk to pull those records and seeing exactly what the track. Well, I'm sorry to have you stand up over here so much, but and thank you. By the way, thank you for coming up here, because I have gotten some calls from Morgan. I've gotten some calls even from some other schools that just use that, not like Selma High and Morgan does, but we have. So thank you for taking the time to come up here and ask about that and helping us get to the bottom of this. But pull that and look at it and just see exactly what we did and what's what on that.
For the roof.
Yeah, it is, and we just need to find out, and
Councilman Short.
Yeah, Mr. President, this is a prime example. It's what I've been trying to get my colleagues to understand about pooling all these monies. You know, all of us have deplorable situations in our respective wards. However, our children, education and supporting our children is a mainstay. We should be very cognizant of that. So if there is no guarantee on the track, I don't know if it is, as my colleague says, 10, 15, and 20. I hope we got a 20-year guarantee on it. But me knowing the standards of the city, we probably don't. This guy would be on the pavement. But nevertheless, I think all these money could be very helpful in this endeavor. However, it's going to take some council people to not be so protective of their needs in their respective wards and put the good of the city as a whole, and that is our children. And I'm a strong advocate, not saying that you guys are not, of throwing every type of resources that we legally can to helping our children. And I think extracurricular activities is just as important as academics. So we need to think about ways and means to help get that track refurbished so that the activities our children can continue.
Now, even if we come up with funds tomorrow, that track still won't be ready for the track meets. Because the season will be over. Because they can't do nothing to spring or first summer where it got to be warm and hot and stuff to dry on them. And we got that from so by then we hoping a grant would have been available for us. Because Ms. Jackson is applying for a grant, we are looking forward for that. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but I understand, yes, but by the time, Wade, they telling us from the two gentlemen that I met out there, it won't be ready for the track season to be over, for the start and finish, so it's right, because it's gonna take time, but again, we need to be looking at revenue in case the grant don't come. We can have other ways and means to help get that taken care of.
The two gentlemen you spoke to that said it wouldn't be ready, who are they?
It's one from, I think, Georgia. I think one from Georgia, the one that took forever to give us that bid. And again, like I said, he just, like, I'm tired of that, just wrote up some figures.
Right.
Because he didn't give us an itemized estimate at all, period.
Yeah.
I wasn't satisfied with that at all.
Yeah.
And plus, that is almost like a month or 2 months before he even did that. Me and Councilwoman Jackson met, I think, about 3 weeks ago, 2.5, 3 weeks ago at the state from Tennessee. From Tennessee, and he
CONICA, his name is Luke Brown, and
Right.
their company
And I'm
out
talking
of
about,
Tennessee.
it was freezing out there. But it was also where he said that, hey, y'all is not as cold as it is, but we do have done so. But still, we may can get it done, but it's not as soon as you may want, because they got to have some drying time. But I think he said they had a way of trying to dry some stuff, to help us try to dry quicker. But my thing is, I just want to make sure if we did do that, what kind of warranty and guarantee making some dry versus let it dry like it should with the warm weather, Because if I go and try to rush something to dry with my paint versus trying to let it dry on its own, it's going to crack up and do everything else because I'm rushing it.
This is from the guy that was tired and just gave us a pump.
No, this is the second guy. He was so much professional, he was so much together, but I think we still wait on his itemized bid coming. which it should be getting in the day now. But he was very good. I mean, this guy came and was thorough with us. We asked him all the questions about lines, still how tomorrow didn't work out. Well, don't think we don't want that. But we're just looking at the best interest for the, make sure the kids don't get hurt, make sure the city don't get sued, you know, because it ain't like the attorney said. We know this, and we tell them this, and then also they go out there, I don't care what way we do, we still gonna be liable for it, you know.
So please, who did we get to find out about the warranty? Councilwoman Youngblood asked about the warranty.
Just check with the clerk office.
Yeah, to find out what it is, because it could have been the same thing that maybe somebody came to Coach Reese and said, and was like, I'm tired of Selma, so let me just give them the bid and let me just raggedy do this work. But there may be a warranty that they forgot about that's on there and they're hoping we forget about. So it may, there may be a warranty lying around for 10, 15, 20 years as she has suggested. So if that is so, then sir or ma'am, you need to come back and fix our track.
Well, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we asked about a warranty, and he stated that their warranty and standard is about a year, and then that you have to come back and get it maintained, but it would last, the life of it, depending on what grade you got. It could be 10, 15, or 20 years. Of course, the 20 years would be more cost up front, but he said the standard, and the one he talked to us about, would be the 10-year. And he said, based on what he was looking at there, that it looked like this track may have been 10 years old. I told him I wasn't sure.
Right. Yes,
but
several layers, you know. That
yeah,
bottom layer may be possibly still good, like the black surface.
Yeah.
But we know the top surface is gonna have to come off. I think the recommendation is to do it all, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I think you just do it all, take the black surface off the surface.
Right.
So we just need to find out what Coach Reese left in his files concerning this, and find out what that is in the files that he left. I hear what the other professionals are saying, but what we have in file is gonna guide us.
I can check with Ivy on tomorrow to make sure, I think if my memory serves me correct, it was on a 2 to 3 year warranty for our project that we did. But
was it part of the bond though?
it was part of the bond.
Yes.
From my understanding, it was 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and soon thereafter, remember, I don't know if y'all recall, they started reporting some months after that the track was messing up, and perhaps there was a shoddy job, and it was reported to recreation, and it was reported that the track perhaps was not done correctly.
I don't think everything else, Facebook blowing up a lot of stuff.
That's like spending money on technology, and you're not getting what you asked for. That's like spending money in recreation. You're not getting what you asked for.
Okay, any other questions we can move forward with?
I just wanted to say, we did ask about a maintenance plan. Would they come back and maintain the track to make sure that, you know, we were doing, I'm not saying what our recreation department doesn't do, but if we had them to come and spray whatever needs to be done or seal it every so often, you know, so we asked them to include, if they had
It's
a
$1 million
maintenance plan.
stadium, it's some millions, it's $1 million outfit out there, over several millions dollars.
And when was it done?
They spent 1.6
2020.
Councilwoman Youngblood, can we move it on?
It was not, it wasn't that much. I'm thinking that what they spent on the track, I think just on the track, I think it wasn't that much. I'm thinking that we spent like a lesser.
Like on the whole I'm thinking of the whole.
Yeah, I know, but I'm kind of thinking, now I'm gonna say something that probably won't sit well, but this is a truth. This is one of those inconvenient truths that we don't like to think about. But one of the things that we will have to think about is, you know, we'll have to compute this into it when we go to think about what kind of grade we're going to put on there. And we have to go heavy duty if we're going to keep doing things the way we do them. We have a lot of events out there and on the track. And when we have those events out there, and they're nice and great, and they're real big community things, and they're helpful to the community, we have a lot of walkathons out there. We have the Cancer, the Relay for Life, and a lot of times people will have a lot of ball team things, and people will have even their booths and things out there. Well, that is a lot of extra wear and tear that it's not really made for, so we need to consider that too. So that's extra wear and tear when these things are put out there, they're meant for people to get out there and run track on. So they're not meant for party pads. So we need to consider that. The Relay for Life, I love them, I support them, I go out there too. You know, I've done a lot of labs, I've got out there and sang on them and everything else that we used to have, you know. But anyway, what I'm saying, that's a fact. We need to take that into consideration when we're looking at what we need to have done.
Two small things real quick. One of them, when the football team come on and off field, we need to make sure we have a board across. Yeah. They wear different cleats. Yeah. See them cleats?
Yep.
Right. Right. We need to put something out so they can walk across because right in that area is where some of this is dug up. Right there where the football players come out at. Yeah, we have that bad the spot in there. Okay, good.
They have. I mean, it's just wear and tear. Okay. What you're seeing is just wear and tear of the track. I mean, I know for us when we had games that we did put something down.
Selma High's not the only school.
Right. The second thing I want to say is, President, we move on. I think the quote he's going to give us, I'm not 100% sure if Ms. Jackson may want to help me with this, was not the restriping of the track. I think that he's going to have to get someone else to do that. Get someone else to do that, but I'm not sure. I think he said that he would try to add that into this bid, and that way, you know, because that's something he don't do. All he will do is resurface it. And once he resurfaced, he would have somebody else come around and put all the striping, the lines, and the numbers. Right.
You do, because
it will be included.
Northridge and Paul Bryant just had to do the same thing. And so, and they were in a situation where Paul Bryant was having all the track meets in Northridge just had, they were using their track also. So, and again, I just want you all to consider, you know, we're losing revenue from other schools that's coming. You know, for us, as far as fundraising, but again, you're talking about schools that were bringing money into the city for our small businesses and businesses for restaurants and things like that. So,
because one of our biggest problems back in the day when we was running, housing all these different schools. Yeah. We didn't have a hotel. Now we got the hotel, but now we don't have a track.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, if we would have had our track done, we're the only track. We would have been the only track in this area. The next track is in Tuscaloosa that everybody's running on. And Greensboro, they don't have a track right now, nor do Mopper. So that would have brought even more, and Montgomery schools would have brought more. And we have Wetumpka that's coming, but we're going to lose them next year because they're building a new track.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
So what are you all going to do? So it just appears to me it's going to take too long. Where are y'all going to go?
I have to figure it out.
Okay.
I have to figure what I need to do. I mean, I have to figure out where we need to practice. I mean, you know, my team has been to the state championship ever since I've been here. We take the kids. Yes, ma'am. You know, and you know, we've competed since I've been here now. And I'm just, you know, I have to figure out what's best for my players and how we're going to get them to compete. And it's unfair to them. For those who have come out, I had 35 kids come out to practice today.
Oh. And the grass, you said something about running on grass.
Yes, I mean, running on grass is just, I mean, it's better for them at times, but you have sprinters, we have distance runners, we have throwers, we have jumpers. We have a lot of things that go on in track and field. You have 11 or so events. And so, we've used blocks. We've used when we're not able to get into the gate. We, you know, like you just said, we've used the open field, but
we
at the same time,
area. I'm just trying to think. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have to figure it out. I don't know what we're gonna do, but I gotta figure it out quick.
Text me tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Coach Son. All right, Attorney Madison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, councilmen and councilwomen, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. The first thing on my report is that today I received a packet from Attorney Rick Howard at Holster Gilliland Law Firm. He had talked with me a week or so ago. The packet includes a breakdown and an update on all of the cases that are in litigation that his firm is handling now. We had a decent conversation last week. He told me this would be coming in and arrive today, and I'll be going through it over the next day or two just to update myself on what's in it. There's no need right now for anything. He made a very interesting comment that I thought that this council needed to be aware of. He said that people sometimes seem to know more than they think they know about what's happening with litigation in the city of Selma. He said the city was being sued, but they weren't losing a lot of those suits. I don't know how many, not a lot is, I have to get an exact count.
Do you consider not losing, settling out?
Well, it depends on how much you settled for. It depends on how much you settled for. Yeah, we didn't discuss in detail whether his not losing included settlements, but I can ask him. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. But what I was getting at was, I got the impression he was saying that volume doesn't always equal success. That's what I was getting at. I will also be getting an update on any and all legal matters pending for the city of Selma within the next few weeks. I have also a list of requests that have come from this body, some of them from the mayor that I'm still compiling. I was out of the office Friday with my wife at the hospital in Montgomery, else I would have probably had a list complete for tomorrow's meeting. She's doing great. She had an outpatient procedure and she's fine. They tried to trick me into admitting I would have one, but I said I don't know yet. So, the Vikings football representative was here a couple of weeks ago. Yes, Mr. Broadnax, I believe is his name. I reviewed that contract. I'll be having a recommended revision. Normally, I don't, working for my clients, it's unusual for me to always usually take someone else's contract. I usually am drafting contracts on my client. So I think that contract ought to be drafted. There's a clause in it which calls for both parties, which is a little bit unusual, both parties to include boilerplate and other information. So I would have had to do some redrafting anyway, which didn't bother me. And I think the city needs to be handing him a contract based on what we say we will and what I do, and then he can agree or choose not to agree. But that, I'll have that done within the next 2 or 3 days. Location, we received a letter, the mayor, I think, did, forwarded it to me about an accident location, I believe, at the end of 2018 or a little bit over a year ago. And I don't have the letter with me now, but I will be coming back shortly to this body, having visited that site. One of the things I used to do in another life was work for State Farm Mutual Automobile Insurance Company as a bodily field claims representative selling automobile bodily injury accidents. So I want to go out to the location to take some pictures and bring it back to the council and tell them what I think relative to the letter. The letter was basically suggesting some kind of warning or caution signage might be necessary at a specific location. And that may or may not be the case, but the letter implied that it was. There's a press release that I was asked to craft to give to the Selma Times Journal. Mr. Powell, Adam Powell, last week, that release was crafted last Thursday and sent to him. I also sent a copy of it, CC'd the mayor and the council, but I'm not sure about whether the council's email actually goes to all the members of the city council. There's a, excuse me?
Depends.
What council email?
What council email?
Or city council at Selma.
Nah.
Okay. Well,
We don't use that domain.
this leads me to my next, one of my next items on my, take one.
What's the nature of the first?
The press release. I was asked to provide a press release involving, with an excerpt from the statute, applicable statute for vendor licenses, and the information from the tax and license office that was applicable to vendors licenses. Get it to the Selma Times Journal reporter, Mr. Powell, and I did that, is what I'm saying. I think he wrote the article. He was asked to write an article last weekend, which is why it was important to get it to him last Thursday or Friday at the latest. We wanted it, the council wanted it in the papers for this last weekend before the Jubilee, and that should have been there. Normally I would have a clip from the newspaper to show you as proof that he did it, but I'll give him a call tomorrow. I'll get a copy of the newspaper showing where you ran that press release.
Thank you.
I just passed out an updated contact sheet for my office. It's got a little bit more information than I had the first time. I definitely thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Because I want whatever you ask me to do to be reported right away as soon as it's done. Thank you.
So you already have mine, right?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman.
Attorney Madison, and I'm a little confused, and I wasn't here for the last council meeting and work session. I missed a couple of meetings and special call meetings. So you just ran over something about an accident. What I don't remember accidents coming before the council. So what happened with that? We need to sign.
This was over a year and a half ago. I just saw the letter a week before last, I think. But the accident happened some time ago.
Can you provide us with a copy of the letter?
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
I don't
yes.
know what you're talking about.
Yes, it was an accident involving a couple of young people, and apparently there were not only serious injuries, but possibly fatalities. Let me get the letter, and I can have my secretary send it to you all at this email address tomorrow. It's a short letter, but it was pointing out that it might be worth the city's while to look at some sort of signage at this apparently a curve or an area that was not straight and level or involved some problem.
Inside the city limits.
Inside the city limits. What I'm saying is I want to go to the area first and take photographs of the area and bring them back to this body.
Is it on Dallas Avenue?
Again, I don't want to mischaracterize where the area is. I wanted you to know that someone wrote a letter saying the city council or the city of Selma need to consider signage at an area where someone was injured and
Oh,
killed.
signage. I was trying to relate. Me too. Why was we looking at a fatality? Okay, now, okay, I missed it.
That's what
You want us to consider signage? Okay.
Signage informing motorists of the possibility.
Leave with that next.
Yeah, because I'm
That's on Dallas Avenue.
I think you might be right, you and Councilwoman Youngblood, but I don't want to mischaracterize the location without sending you a letter and without.
See if we need signage.
And curve, yellow and black,
Some more stuff lit up.
sign that will be illuminated at night from the lights as they hit it. I want to give you the letter and go to the site first to take photos of it and put that with the information I give you, and then tell you what I think and let you decide what to do.
Okay.
I'm sorry I caused any panic. The accident is not a legal matter. It's
Don't they
a
have
safety
insurance?
feature that's being recommended to be considered because there was an accident.
And we can take care of it.
Mr. Turner.
The electric fence on.
Councilman LaShaw, Mr. Attorney.
I'm sorry.
On your correspondence, are you saying this will negate any telephone communication about request for services from you? Or
Am I saying it will do what, Mr.
are you saying it will negate any telephone calls directly to you requesting services?
There should be two pieces of paper, one contact information and another a form.
Oh, you want out?
Excuse me?
You want our contact information on this one?
I thought this
I want any request you have for me to be made to this form, but I want to explain.
Oh, like a work order request?
Yes, yes. But I also want to explain what we're doing, not just with that piece of paper, but Ms. Harrison is going to create the same form to email you, which you will have as a form that you can fill out online. You don't have to fill out a piece of paper and fax
We'll
it.
get to Ms. Ellison, yeah.
But my question, once this is implemented, will you or will you not receive a telephone request?
Because yes,
But it don't have to be followed up with this.
I would prefer you send me any request in writing.
I know you would, but what I'm saying is, if I don't, will the request not be undertaken? But not this.
No.
Okay, I just want-
That's not the import of that form. The import of that form is to reduce to writing what it is you want
I
done.
understand, I just want.
If you tell me verbally what you want done, Councilman, I have to sit down and take notes anyway from what you're requesting of me to have done. That's the same thing this form does, is what I'm saying. It hopefully will help you crystallize your request and give me something I can look at when I'm doing the work. It also has a reporting back feature on the form for me, not you. A means of my reporting back to you progress on the work. I think that's in the upper. I gave all, well, here, thought I'd get them all out. There's a current date, a completion date, and this is for my use, a new request, a follow-up request, or previous request, for me to keep track of what you're asking me to do. That's all it is, a tracking mechanism. And a way for me not to have to call you back and say, what did you say about X? I can just look at this. The key to this is not just that it's in paper. Ms. Harrison got this done today. What we want, I want, and I've asked her to do, and she says no problem, is to be able to send this to you electronically. Have you type in what you want, download it, send it to us by email, and you through. And I'll still talk with you on the telephone if you have any questions.
Councilwoman.
I want to ask you, when you say Miss Harris, you mean the lady downstairs?
Harrison, my secretary.
Oh, your secretary. We got a Harrison downstairs,
We
just
got
now. Two Harrison down here.
She was introduced when you were here.
I know ma'am already, but
Yes, yes.
for some reason I
Harrison.
can relate her to be a Harrison.
It is.
Okay, I
Well,
got
she
you.
actually was, as Mr. Johnson said, a Smith at first.
So we have a Harrison, Harrison, and Harrison. Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
got three of
you got two Harrisons and a Harris. I don't know how many others.
One Harrison, two Harrison.
Yes.
Okay, we can continue.
There's a question Mr. Spencer came in and asked a couple weeks ago about a light over on McLeod, I think, McLeod again. And Mr. Lee, Zeb Lee went out today to check that light. He said he can't tell without climbing up on a ladder, and he's gonna do that, I think, tomorrow when the weather's supposed to be a little bit clearer. Check the light itself. This is, what I'm being told, this is an Alabama Power fed lighting. We have no control over turning the power on and off, but we were somehow being told that there was a suspicion that the city just had to throw a switch to turn the light on. That's not the case, as far as we can tell so far.
Are you talking about the lights in
Street light.
Ward 3? Are you talking about the lights between, is that Union, between McLeod and Furnace? The street decorative lights that are
Yes,
out?
yes.
They're not Alabama Power lights. I've called all. They're our lights that we have to pay for, that we have to turn on. And so we need to turn them on or get them fixed or let the mayor read my email. And so I can send it to you.
I would like a copy of it too, I just hadn't seen it.
Okay. I send it to you, but they're ours. I've called Aubrey and he's stating that they haven't cut them off and they're not their pole lights. We know they're not their pole lights. They're not the tall lights that sit on the end of the street. They're decorative lights that are just lining that street.
Maybe I need to
And some of them
look at
are
it, too.
actually, some of them, they're actually out. The bulb or the base or the shade, I would call it in my house as a lamp, is missing, cracked, holes, things of that sort.
I actually suggested that the bulb might need to be changed, and that's when Mr. Lee said, he'll go back, or it was raining, I think, today again.
Well, thank you, because I was talking to a lighting company about doing it, so if you can get Mr. Zed Lee and I can keep my stuff out of it, do that. You know?
He's already been out, he said he would go back, and I believe he said tomorrow. I'm not gonna stop looking into it until we either get them on or figure out why we can't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor Madison?
Yes.
I'll send you all my questions.
In writing? Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Send emails all day long.
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's why I'm here to work. I don't have any problem with that. There's an electric fence that was brought up too on property that I was told was in the city limits. On a map I was handed, it said, it reads Fonsdale, so I'm a little confused now. Yeah, but that sounds like somewhere in I don't even know if that's
Alberta.
So I'm taking the I've already taken the liberty of contacting Chief Fulford about this gentleman who's apparently in progress of erecting a fence, and that should be stopped, which means tomorrow I'm gonna have to either get the call of a police officer or go find where this property actually is. The difficulty was the owner doesn't live on the property, and I don't know where the owner lives, so I've got to get an address to get him a certified letter saying that he needs to cease and desist, if indeed he's in the city limits erecting an electrified fence.
Mr. President, imagine, okay now, do we have rules for the electric fence? Because we have business right here got electric fence also.
In the city limits?
In the city limits. And I can name a few, but I guess I may wait that I know for a fact. Matter of fact, we even had a young man got killed, got electrocuted in one of our gas companies, Alagasco. And now some other businesses I know right here, they got electric fence. So we've been opening up so much still, I mean,
you want to see the ordinance saying you can't have it.
Correct, that's right, we need to look into that, right.
Let me get the ordinance.
So we got some construction business around here that got electric fences, few others.
Get ordinance, what I want is get ordinance.
Yes.
First.
Right.
All right. And that's it, Mr. President.
That's it. We need to discuss my contract, which I need the contract to be voted on tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Your contract is ready to be voted on tomorrow.
Do we bring them and discuss it in the work session?
Yeah, we have to.
So go ahead and put my contract out there so that the council can be aware that I will be asking for their approval.
I need all the support now.
Mr. LaSure has a contract that he brought to me requesting some work to be done here in the city, and the contract involved cleaning and clearing of a specified area that's outlined in the contract. I got the amount today of $850 for the work. That's what I'll bring with me. I can actually go across the hall, and I didn't type in $850 yet. That's what I didn't do. But I can actually go across the hall and get it if I have to right now.
I just want to follow the procedure. Not that this council don't have any say-so on what's done on my ward. I think it's protocol established. This is the contract that this council need to take into consideration.
All right, Councilwoman.
Yes, ma'am.
Two things, I think that the council will have a say-so over what's done in your ward because it's public funds. And secondly, we used to have, when I first got here, Attorney Nunn, we used to put contracts on first read.
Yeah.
So can we put it on first read tomorrow? That's what we do with contracts. Now, if we're gonna suspend or change our rules, we need to put that in writing, Mr. President, but that's what you told us when we came in.
I'm asking
You
council.
don't recall putting contracts on first read?
I
Going
don't recall
back
it
to
either,
2
Mr.
years.
President, but if it is.
I'm not saying it wasn't, but I know as far as liquor license,
Yeah, liquor license.
Yeah, I remember that, but not contract.
Not contract, but now, in the event that it is a policy, I'm gonna ask this council to suspend the rules, because this work needs to be done prior to visitors coming into my city.
I'm not saying, so much is on my mind, I'm not saying it wasn't, but the only thing I recall was just the liquor license.
And that's what I recall.
Yeah, but I could be wrong.
I just remember when Attorney Nunn would come to us. He said, this is your contract, take it, read it. This is on first read, we'll come back. I never voted on liquor license, so I don't care if it's on first read or not, I always know.
I follow the procedures on it.
This is not my first time bringing it up, and if it's not a rule, it was just something he requested, that's fine, but that's what I learned.
I just read my contract up. I'm gonna vote tomorrow.
All right, anything else for?
This is something you're paying for.
Okay.
No.
Anything else? Okay. So-
No, Mr. President, I have one.
Go ahead, Councilman.
I've been waiting on my contract, done with a property owner that's riding my back. You're the new attorney, and all of this stuff was placed up on the Gammas and Gammas. I've been saying this since I've been here, and I have asked you to check your minutes where Gammas and Gammas, all of the stuff that they were supposed to have been done for us, that did not get done. This landlord trying to keep people in his house. He can't keep people in his house because the next person that we gave you the address, gave them the address and everything for this letter to be sent out. This man keep constantly calling me and worrying me when I told him I've constantly give this, and I have not got the letter yet out to the owner of the property. He can't rent his house. Every time somebody get in, they gotta get out. Gammas and Gammas being had. He had one for Councilman LaShore and one for me, that they were supposed to did this letter, supposed to been sent out to the property owner, telling them a certain amount of days that they need to clean their property up. He losing money, and he calling me, and he in my ward. I have to get it done.
Was this, excuse me, Councilwoman, was this the
On Cedar Drive?
Property on Cedar Drive?
Yes.
That where the property owners, tenants were being run away by the other property owners?
Yes, you should. Gammas and Gammas should have gave you all of that. That letter should have been out to the
That was
property.
one of the things I said was possibly in the number of emails I got, and will be on the list of things that I'm sending to this council, showing everything that I've been asked to do, and was gonna ask, and you've already asked twice now, I think, about it. So that'll be a priority, to try to get that letter to you right away.
Then also, sent a copy of a formal of the contract way that to do the beautification before the Jubilee. So, I talked to you about that. Because I like to have my stuff, like, according to what we say, what we supposed to do. We have work session, we're supposed to have our contracts up front. And so Tuesday, everybody know what we voting on, not bring it that day of Tuesday. So now, I won't be able to do what I was trying to do. So it's gonna be a standstill because we have work session to do what we have to do.
Is this a letter or a contract?
No.
There
was a contract.
There were 2 or 3 contracts. One was done, Walker.
Not Walker being done.
I understand, but those are the 3 I recall off the top of my head. Walker, I believe Fitz, and Bond, was it?
Yeah, but we didn't have it done, we can't vote on it.
Bond is the only one that wasn't done. I was waiting on some more information on Fitz.
But I can't do them because I don't have them completed. I can't vote on, the county can't vote on them because it's not completed. It's not in documentation in the hand of the council to see what we bring in forward to vote on. So it's a waste, I can't do it.
Well, what I was just saying is one of them is completed, the other 2 I was expecting some more information. And I'll be happy to get that, probably can get it to you tomorrow when you have your council meeting.
Just forget that one.
We met with RDS on Friday, I think it's Friday. And also at the law office of Gamble & Gamble, there was a business that has owed us forever a large amount of money. And we were told by Gamble & Gamble that they were gonna take, I know them, we were gonna take care of it, and it's been months ago. And it was recommended to us by RDS that they be shut down and closed. And you know, we said that we were gonna just send a letter out, like the millionth letter out, and say something to the effect, you have 30 days to do this, but please look in your stack to see if they turned it over to you, because when we brought it to them, they said to us, okay, we know those people and we're gonna let us talk to them. And I don't know if we got documentation from them or you have it on your desk. It's just what happened was the number, the amount of money owed to the city got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we didn't get a document from the attorney's office. So if you could find out if they turn it over to you, if you could put it somewhere on your priority list, and you know what your priority is, if you could put it somewhere on your priority list, because RDS said the amount, and I was sitting here thinking that they were on a payment plan. That I don't know why my mind said that, and they said no, ma'am, no sir. It's getting huge, it's getting astronomical. They do not accept our calls, they do not talk with us, they refuse to communicate with us. We recommend a shutdown.
Because
Shut down and take it and attach.
Every dime you collect,
Cause I know
it doesn't even belong to you.
There were several businesses during that time that was
It
on
was
that
one
list,
huge one.
but they made payment arrangements. I think it was about 5
And
or
that's
6.
why I'm talking about this
But
business.
this
I
was
thought
the
they were
only
paying
one
for
that
it.
did not make the
And
payment.
they just owes
arrangement.
money, never paid. Let's get bigger.
Like if you give me $1 and a dime, I just keep the dime too.
Yeah.
Did you recall the name of the?
I will give it to you.
No, that's all right. What I've gone through a third to approximately half of all the emails I've gotten, and I'm printing
Yeah,
out
I know,
I'm printing out copies of everything the firm sent me, so I can have a separate folder for each thing. When you ask me that question,
Yeah.
I can tell you
I'll
by
give you the
name
of
what
it,
I have or
so
don't
you can,
have.
kind of put it somewhere in the priority
I'm
list.
gonna text it to you now.
I'm putting 3 stars by it, and 4 stars by Councilwoman Thomas.
Any other questions?
Last, we talked on Friday about the accident on the foot of the bridge. I had talked to a contractor, which he thought he would start on Monday, but he got here already asked about allowed to do a chimney. So what I was hoping I could do, and I'm not sure, I know this is, I guess you want to say it's an emergency, but I want to try to get somebody to go down there and clean all that debris, broken bricks up, which we hope we can salvage most of them bricks back, because it'd be hard to get the same bricks. Also, I'm hoping I can get 1 sheet of plywood and let the guy put a sheet of plywood on both sides of that wall, and maybe a sheet of the small on top, but we can close it in, but it would look kind of halfway presentable, because we got a lot of people who be walking that area. We don't want anybody to trip trying to go through where all the debris bricks at. So I just want to make sure it's okay to go ahead and move forward with this president, and actually, I'm not sure what we are. It should cost me over $100 to get it done. I may just donate that, but I want to make sure to make people aware of what's going to get done. Because we don't need to let it maintain like that, and with all the company coming in town. So I just want to make sure that's okay. I want to put it on, let everybody know what's going on. So I want to have the bricks moved, but not throw away. Just put it in for the bridge, put up for someone, hoping that this young man can clean the bricks, that we can be able to use some bricks again whenever we get this young man to come to break it back up with the wall. So I'll make sure it's okay with each council person going to move forward with that.
Councilwoman Thomas and Councilman.
Attorney, I got some advice today. It was something that I was working on in my ward, and I need for you to you can before Thursday. I need you to find some time that you can look at this and make sure that I'm going in the right direction, because anytime we're doing something like this on city property, I want to talk with you about this.
Is it in Act City?
No, it's an area where we're putting getting ready to do a playground.
Okay.
We have a consent agreement tonight, Mr. President, to allow Councilman Johnson to move forward with it, and tomorrow ratify the permit. Let's go get a consent to give him the authority to get it done. And ratify the firm.
You can send it outside of council.
What I'm saying, listen, he can get started in the morning, instead of waiting for tomorrow night. Give a consent that allow him to do that, and then go on record tomorrow night voting that he was authorized to ratify the firm, will give consent on tonight.
It's only gonna be about $100, right?
Right. I'm just because one sheet of plywood shouldn't come about, I'm saying less than $20. And the guy, I'm trying to get his truck and load all the bricks on him. And I'm just, this is my, it's not my head now.
You're trying to finish this
I
by
just,
weekend, right?
right, and now, because it can be too late to brick it up.
Right.
We just trying to clean it up to make it look presentable. And I hate to do a work session, I mean, a request and it may not get done, because I already got them trying to clean up that area and all.
And you know what, you do need to get those bricks up and get them salvaged, because you know what, people are gonna come and they're gonna take those bricks as souvenirs
Oh, no
by
doubt.
the bridge. So yeah, you
Yeah,
need to get those.
brick off the bridge.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get those bricks and you're gonna need to get them salvaged and put up.
Right, we need to clean them and try to reuse some bricks again, so.
Put them up before you clean
All right, any other questions for attorney? Any other questions? Thank you, attorney. All right, now to the business item. I will be having Ms. Ellis to email the council decor. It would not only apply to council members, it would also apply to the citizens that attend council meetings. I would put the new rules attached to the agenda for the citizens who will be attending council meetings, and also parts with the council members. I'll let you look at it before we move forward with the vote. Number two, mileage rate. The average mileage rate for the state is 0.575. I think currently it's 55 cents a mile here. And I just want to make a motion that we move forward to make sure we be in compliance with the state. If that's okay with the council. I'll put it on the consent agenda tomorrow. Since it's 2020, I met with Judge Nunn, and the county commission along with Judge Nunn will be putting up some money for the census to try to promote it. And I'm going to see Ms. Wade to see what we have roughly about $2,500 that we can use to promote the census. One thing is to have banners that we can put in City Hall and also put in main thoroughfares throughout the city, and maybe some push cards encouraging people to take part in the census. I'm just asking for roughly about $2,500, because this is going to be very important that we count, make every individual count. Because if we vote, let's say if they fill it out, that's an additional $1,600. If they do not fill it out, that's $1,600 that we have lost. So, Ms. Wade, can we put that in advertisement, $2,500 for literature that we can pass out? And also you get some of the award push cards, encourage citizens to get involved. Business and the whole 9 yards. Will we have you, Ms. Wade? Okay. We're just asking for roughly about $2,500. And also too, like I said, get some banners, put them out by Walmart and some of the main thoroughfares, remind the citizens how important it is.
Let's get some PSAs on.
Public service announcements also, we talked about that also.
And the members of the council to have access to various stations, they will allow us some time to come on.
They have, because I talked with HBB and also staff communications and also 105.3. And also, as far as with the municipal judge, if my memory serves me correct, we have 3 resumes.
We do? We're gonna get a copy?
Yeah, I'll get you a copy. Okay. And I know I said that we would start interviewing on Wednesday, but I know your program is on Wednesday. So I would say, can we move forward Thursday?
I would like to be in the interviews.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, probably. Yeah, this Thursday at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. Ma'am?
We can charge it to miscellaneous expense. We have a budget there for $6,000.
Miscellaneous expense?
1,6,005,1026.
If you can text that to me.
Okay.
Really appreciate it. All right, I'll make sure everyone get a copy of the 3 resumes.
5 p.m. Interviews Thursday, 27th.
Yeah, check. That concludes my business items. Councilwoman Thomas.
Well, I had two business items, I don't see but one on here. But I think I want to bypass this because it's something that very important that I wanted to ask. But I don't want to ask it out. I don't want to ask this out in the open. I want to, it's something because, well, I'm going to ask this question. Have you got the stuff that, what we required that you sent to the mayor, Billings? Have you received that yet?
What? I sent so much to them.
From the last council meeting that we had requested to hear from the, you said we had to hear from, have to come from the department head. Dealing with the overall of our buildings and other things that I had requested. And you had said that you was gonna send the email to the mayor to request that follow-up.
Okay, you probably need to talk to me inside.
Okay.
Keep giving me out the meeting. I don't recall.
But there's, she can go to executive.
Yeah, we're
session
gonna
tomorrow.
have that at 4:30 tomorrow, so you can bring it up.
Okay. 4:30 tomorrow.
4:30 tomorrow, executive session. Because I know Councilwoman Youngblood would like to go in, so it'll be 4:30 tomorrow.
Okay.
It'll be roughly about 10 minutes, and that way it will allow us to keep from breaking up the council meeting at 5.
Her topic is executive session. Her topic is executive session.
No.
Her topic.
I know yours is. I thought you were saying
No,
she
she making this ask her.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to talk about it now.
I didn't want to, you know what I talked about?
Yeah.
If it's appropriate.
If it's appropriate, yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
said.
because if it's public, we can't just go to executive session. For
That's why I told you to ask me tonight, you know,
Yeah.
And did you say, Mr. President, it was gonna be 10 minutes? Because I thought you said 30 the first time. But is it gonna be 10 minutes or 30 minutes?
How much council do you
I think 10, but you never know.
You know, we get to linger on, but we will allow 25 minutes for executive session because, you know, we're going to add 5 o'clock, so 25 minutes.
Oh, we come
Yeah, 4:30.
Okay.
All right, and just ask me at the end of this, Councilwoman Thomas. All right, next we have Councilwoman Jackson.
Guys, the asthma contract, we had a large discussion about it at the last council meeting. I wasn't here. We had a discussion about it at the January 24th council meeting, 23rd, 24th, somewhere. The last council meeting that I was present, which was the second council meeting in January, and you all asked 2 things of me. The first was to make sure that they were sending everything to the president. And I did that, and not only the president, but I gave him all of the council's information. And so you all should have received a email from them detailing what they were doing, working on, things of that sort, within their contact information. Secondly, you asked that I ask them to come before the body. And I stated at that meeting in January, I will not ask them to come to the next meeting because I won't be present and I would like to be here when they come. And so that Friday, before the last council meeting, we got their first invoice. I think Ms. Wade, our treasurer, stated at the request of Councilman LaSure, he asked have we gotten a bill, and she stated that she thought that we had already received a $6,000 bill from them. I didn't recall seeing anything, but you know, I didn't know, and she wasn't sure. She said, I think, but in all actuality, we hadn't received anything from them. The first bill came that Friday before the last council meeting that I wasn't present. It came out in the middle of the day, before 12 o'clock, or right before 11:30, 12 o'clock that day, and so we all had an opportunity to look over. There was some discouraging and some disparaging things stated in the last council meeting about this group.
I contacted them because I wanted to know some of the questions that arose in the council meeting. I wanted to know, did a council member before that time or after that time contact them at all to determine just where their billing came from? Now, recall we allocated, they gave us a price for $70,000 or $75,000 that would allow for them to just write without billing a flat rate. We didn't choose that part of their contract. We chose to go for an hourly rate, which was $60,000, and we allocated $60,000 for the year, set that apart for their grant funding. And from October to January, they sent us a bill for $7,308.75. And anyone that works with grants at all know that there is a lot of time that goes into grant. That's why I initially thought that we would just give them a flat rate and let them write, because this could become an overwhelming amount. But $7,000 the first time for us to allocate that type of money, get our first bill, and then say the things that we said without speaking to them and knowing what they're working on. And they sent us a list of what they're working on. If we got one of the grants that they're working on, the $55,000 technology grant, the $100,000, that's for FEMA grant, it's $55,000 equipment grant, the $100,000 technology grant, with the $1 million ladder truck grant. If we got one of those, we've gotten our investment back. And this is in fact an investment. That's what we're doing. We're investing in their services and asking for a return on it. And the grants aren't even due until March. And so I know that we want an update, and I asked them to be here tonight. There was a conflict, but they have stated that they would be here at the next work session. I think it's March 9th. And so they will be here. I just want to caution us, because they have a contract before us that said they can eliminate, they can get out of the contract anytime that they choose. And if they choose to walk away at $7,000 and take all the work that they've done thus far and don't turn in our grants, we've lost $7,000. But if we continue to work with them, get our grants in, if we get one of the grants, we've made back the money. And they have been. And you all know the technology, you see where they talk to me a lot of times, not because I want to be talked to, because we don't have any technology for them to talk to the chief. That they have to email things to me, or the chief has to bring things to my office so I can scan and email to them. That's extra work for me that I'm doing. So I don't.
Asma is emailing you?
Because
that's what you're saying?
Because I
thought they were going to email him.
And then
this was prior to
the city.
Okay, but they're emailing him now, right?
Yeah, they're emailing me
for whatever they do.
They're
Councilman Show. Go ahead. Councilman.
They were emailing me
in the beginning.
No, what I'm saying, even in the beginning, if they would like to email the president, they haven't asked me to take anything else, but Chief Graham at the fire department said, I can't get an email. That's why they're working on the technology grant. He said all of our technology is down, and that's the reason why we haven't gotten FEMA grants before, because there's certain technology that we're supposed to have that we don't have to even apply for. So that's the need. They identified a need, they worked on the need. That's their discussion. All they came to me and said, he can't receive a fax.
They got that from the department head?
They got that,
okay,
yeah.
Not the council list. They talked directly to the chief.
Yeah, they talked directly to the chief. We said, hey, we got some public safety issues. They talked to the chief, and when he said, I can't receive a fax, I can't receive, and also they've stated that the company that we use for our technology is being sued, so I asked them to put that in writing so I can present that to you all. But we'll talk about that at another time. But what I'm saying is, they're calling me, asking me to do things that our city is supposed to do. Our IT department is supposed to make sure that our fire department has a fax. They're supposed to make sure that Chief Graham can receive emails. That's not supposed to be my job, but I didn't mind them saying, hey, we need this information and we gotta have it by this date. Can you send the chief this, that he needs to be on this webinar on this date, because he hadn't replied to any of our emails. And the chief response was, I haven't gotten any of their emails. So those are the dilemmas that we're having. So if there's a communication and there's working back and forth, it's on our end, it's the city lack of services. It's the city that's doing wrong. It's not asthma. You know, and if we can have a conversation when they come in last time and just talk about the many times that they've tried to contact our chief, particularly, is what I keep going back to, because that's the one that has to come down and bring me so many items and ask me to scan it off. Or I'm one saying, did you get this email? Can you ask me to send it to this email address, because they're still not coming through on the city email address. That's absolutely horrendous and out of place. We tried to put in IT in a box, President Pro Tem. We can't even get a call back. Mr. Mims at IT in a box, another recommended group, can't even get a call back. You know, and so some of these things, the reason that there's height other than it just costs for grants. I mean, for her to be on a 2-hour webinar is gonna cost us, because every grant year is different. And some grants actually require that you attend their webinars and do their initial training before you can apply. And so they're gonna be here on the 9th. They're going to discuss this matter in depth, and I would ask that you all please give them an opportunity and email them your questions now, or save your questions and comments, because what I would hate for them to do is say, you know what, we don't want to work with the city of Selma because we really need their services.
You just bought 7,000, let them walk.
No, okay.
Excuse me, I've had my hand up.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Started talking, okay. First of all, I mean, am I the only council person that believed that the 60,000 was the flat rate? Because I did. I thought that the 60,000 was the flat rate, and that encompassed everything. I really did. I entered that in good faith, because to tell you the truth, okay, because I really want to see that contract again. That is what I really understood, was that was the flat rate. So there, now I know differently. Also, we might be putting the cart before the horse if we're getting them to do a lot of technology, because am I correct in remembering that we had already voted for the fire department to get, even when Stevens was here, to get the technology they use so that we could get those grants? Yeah. If we can't do it with the technology they needed, we can get asthma to whoever to get anybody to get grants till Christ comes. But if we don't have our IT ducks in a row, then we're not. That's not going to do any good. If we've got millions of dollars worth of IT stuff sitting in boxes that we've had for years, and it's not going to do any good until we get our IT, somebody in there that knows what they're doing. So, we might need to drop back and punt on the technology stuff, because that's just throwing good money after bad, and put it somewhere where we know that we can use it once we get the grants in. Because that's just a sad statement. We've got a police department that can't police. We've got a fire department that can't, make sure that they get that kind of stuff done, because the IT department is, whether they're not capable, whether they're being hampered by the administrator, or for whatever reasons there are, they're not able to run. But bad on me for not knowing that it was not a flat rate like I thought, anyway. So that's why, and I did, I badmouthed, I said, oh, this is ridiculous, we're just paying them a flat rate, blah, 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 blah. So I take it back, I didn't know.
Councilman Short, Councilman Benjamin, Councilman.
I did not initially support this initiative, but the mayor said, look at your experience now. Here we got a bill of $7,000, and we ain't got nothing. Look, the possibility of 60,000 being used up and still don't have nothing. I would highly recommend that whatever the contract said that we can walk away and they can walk away. Let's walk away, because I was under the impression, even though I didn't vote for it, that they would be getting us grants. And the thing is that we never gave them a wish list. And I told this council during deliberation, that these people can write us a grant that we don't need and they have suffice what their requirement is on the contract. I think, if anything, we should have given them was a list of our needs, because a lot of these grants are just not outright grant money. You gotta have a match. And there could be some instances where a grant is being written by ASMA or whatever you call it, and the matching fund is just not doable for this city. I'm not surprised about the $7,000 bill, not at all. I suspect that we're gonna get another bill with the same type of language in it, and I don't see anything to get out of it. I just don't see it.
Councilwoman Benjamin and Councilwoman Thomas.
Okay, it appears to me we have department heads who are communicating with the people we contract with.
Wow.
They're just creating their own little lists out there, talking to department heads.
Choice.
We talked about them communicating with this president so that we could come up with a list, a needs list that we need for the city of Selma. And going back and forth with the chief, I'm not sure how we're gonna know this unless you told us. Going back and forth with the chief, and they can't find the chief, and he's saying he doesn't have email, and he. This is the council, not the department heads. So I thought that we had agreed that the communication would come through the president so that all of us will know the same thing at the same time, not them running to a department head and say, oh, you need, by the way, we do need it, public safety stuff, oh, you need this, let us start working on this. I don't get that. I don't get that. And you said they're calling you and they're asking you things. And we're not gonna get it unless you come and say that, right? We agreed, and you agreed upon it too, that we would go through the president so that he could have emailed us all of this stuff that we are now talking about right now. Emailed us immediately. We have all these new moving parts. Everybody except the council is talking to these people.
With the dollar amount attached to it.
And yeah, with the dollar amount attached to it, everybody's talking to them except for us. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. If they're talking to several people without the list, the needs list has not been generated. Because we talked about generating the list and then submitting the list. Them going back and forth with Chief Graham, and then he's saying, I didn't get the email because I don't have email service.
May I respond? No, they're not.
You can respond, but I'm not finished. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll let you finish.
Okay, so when they have been calling you after we spoke, they continue to call you after we spoke and said that. Okay, your presentation sounded that
right,
way.
because that's what I wanted to speak. This contract, we entered into this, we came through budget hearings, we entered into this in October.
Yes.
This is from October to January. January 24th is when you all came up with the new agreement. Initially, if you recall, you said, Maya, you know the people you continue to contact, keep in contact with them. I'm the one that initially sent them the contract that the president signed and got it back and forth. The president didn't say, I signed it, I'll send it in, or I'll send it to the secretary if we don't have, or I asked the mayor to do it. He gave it to me. He sent it to me. Additionally, Councilwoman, you were supposed to be on the initial call, and Councilwoman Youngblood, the three of us were supposed to be on the call. You weren't able to make it at the last.
Yeah, but y'all represented well.
Right, and we were on the call, and we gave them the wish list from what we discussed.
From who?
From the council, from what we were talking about during the budget, what we're saying we need for our departments. And that's what we discussed at the first meeting. Nothing has changed, but you need to look at public works, you need to look at public safety, and you need to look at recreation.
So when we spoke, perhaps you were not here, the couple of times we spoke about generating the needs list and getting them to them. That may have happened in January, but since those times, you may not have been here.
Right, and I wasn't
having absent. But we talked about generating the list, a list that's practical and that makes sense to this city, to the city of Selma, and getting that to them. And everybody was supposed to be compiling some things. I compiled
and that was
some things and giving one list to the president, and the president disseminating that list to whomever.
You all said to me, let me make sure my date is right. Our last council meeting, which was the last council meeting I attended. Tuesday,
You weren't here the last two.
the 28th, Tuesday the 28th. And so that, at that council meeting, you all said to me.
January.
Right, January the 28th, that you wanted me to make sure that they talked to the entire council. Did you not get an email from me? Mr. President? Their name, number, the entire council received the email, and I.
You mean from you?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
No, ma'am, I'm saying from Aslan. I emailed them, say, per the council request, they would like for you to communicate with the president, not me anymore. They would like to know exactly what's going on, and further communication should go directly to our president. They said, yes, ma'am. They emailed the president, and they asked me for all of the council members' email addresses, and I gave them everything I had. Now, if you didn't receive it, that's not on me. And that was the president at this point, because every conversation.
We don't look to receive something when we ask for it just to be sent to the president. We don't look to receive something. So if we get it, then we get it. But what our agreement was, and you agreed with it, that it would go directly to the president. And that was the agreement. Not that all of these email addresses would be disseminated to ASMA. That's too much. That's too many moving parts.
Ain't no email.
That would be our central location right
I
here.
understand that.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to you is that not only did I do that, I said, let the council know what you're working on. And so my communication.
I'm just saying, you asked all us that we receive it.
Right,
Yeah.
and after that 28th meeting, I sent and did exactly what I was asked to do. I sent them the information, all the communication I discussed.
Plus ours.
Plus you all,
Yeah.
because I thought that it's appropriate that you know what's going on. You can compile the list, give it to the president, he can send it back. Mr. President, have you sent them a list as a?
All that they did when they emailed me, just said that I was the contact person.
No, because I was copied on the email.
That's the only thing I can recall.
Well, I forward you my email that includes the entire council.
Yeah, but that's what they just said. I
And
was
they
the
said,
contact
these are a
person.
list of the grants that we're working on. We
So
have been
let me
informed
just
that you
conclude
are the
with this,
new
so you can go to
contact.
Councilwoman Thomas. Let me finish speaking, so you can go to Councilwoman Thomas. So what was concluded was that we're gonna get this thing together and give it to Mr. President. Let's do that, whichever way we're gonna go. I don't know which way we're going now. Let's do that and get that to Mr. President. That was the consensus the last two times we talked. That was the consensus. So if we could do that, unless the council is going another way.
Recommend we void the contract.
All right.
Oh, I'm done.
Councilwoman Thomas, then we'll move on. Oh, also, too, I was checking it. My text, Councilwoman Thomas, see that you submit your other business item. I didn't get it. I think this is the only one that you submitted.
I had two, but,
Okay.
that's when I told you that, I said that, I talked with you about it, 'cause
Okay.
this is something serious.
Okay.
With this, what Maya had brought to us, did we do a contract for, so why is it that our clerk doesn't have the contract in the office? She states that, yeah, she states she doesn't have the contract, on this right here, this
When did
vacation.
you talk with her? When did you talk with her?
She said, not this week, she ain't been here this week, I think she said the last week. She said, I don't have the, contract on with the young lady that's supposed to be doing the grant, the company that we went. And then when I was saying, I thought we had a contract,
We did.
but she doesn't have the contract.
Who did the contract?
The clerk doesn't have the contract.
What we can do is just probably just have her put the minutes. We had to vote on the contract.
That's what I
If we
said.
had, I mean, yeah.
It's in there, but did you bring the contract? And President, will you sign off on the contract?
You got a copy down there?
No, I don't have it.
What I said, let's just ask the clerk for the minutes when we voted on the contract. Have her
It's in
research the
this pack of minutes.
Because she said she didn't have the contract, and she asked us if we voted, I said we
She
voted.
don't have a lot of the contracts. Let's just make that plain.
If we voted, just have her just recoup the minutes, go from there. All right, Ms. Councilwoman Jackson, traffic light.
Councilwoman, can I ask a question before you start on that?
And then we put this, not only a contract, but we put this in the budget. We put it in as a line.
I'm trying to ask, do we know the list of outstanding stuff that we submit? Did our work get done? Do we know a list of outstanding work?
What?
It was
That
on
was
the
supposed to
consent
be
agenda
done?
For,
Our other attorney?
They can't do none
Every
of
time
that.
y'all bring up a contract, it's not done.
It never done. It ain't done.
What did we pay for?
December 17th, council meeting minutes, says consent agenda to approve asthma contract. And, it
So did they bring it over to the clerk?
I guess.
I would need to check on that.
Yeah, because she said she doesn't have a contract.
Record show I voted no.
Yes.
What is how, what did they look at it though?
And it was out of planning and development,
I remember
$60,000 for grant writing. I think is wasted money, is what Councilman Johnson said.
Councilman.
I'm sorry. Forgive me, forgive me, Judge.
Yeah. That's why I say we need to see, because I
And if we
see
get, if we get one,
If that's the offer we would.
if,
$7,000.
Miss Wade.
Okay, Councilwoman Jackson, traffic.
traffic light.
Oh, turn that light, I mean that. You, damn.
She's sick. Wake up, y'all, man. You want me to cut it off, kick it up.
I'ma throw this, I'ma throw
You
this.
make
at you.
all us see.
What?
Don't worry about it.
You make all us.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Okay.
Right, sir. You gonna make me go do it? Go ahead, Councilwoman Jackson.
Okay, the next item is traffic lights. President Pro Tem, I've done what you asked and tried to call every building that
Excuse me.
Just drink some water.
It's like air is on my head.
He got the other bitch, no, that's why we
I
call it.
got the heat on, cause you said you sick.
Who made you the man?
Y'all asked me to do.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and so I've gone back and I contacted the league and said, can you give me all your vendors that come in for traffic lights and none were providing traffic lights. The only thing I was able to get was an email from Gaston saying we chose to restore the lights because to purchase the lights would be higher and it was more cost effective to do that. So I'm still, every vendor that they sent me said we do signs, we don't do lights. Can you tell me someone that does like me? So I called about 8 vendors that they come to the state conference and give out things. I couldn't find anything. And so I'm still looking. If
You call them
anybody,
out and so it's, that was my question. You know, sometimes it's the least expensive thing to do is to buy brand new than to have somebody repair. So it seems like you're saying that they said, in this case, that's not the truth.
that's what Gaston said. The reason that they restored is because it was going to be more cost effective to restore than to purchase new lights.
Okay.
Now I don't know. They start talking about polling for lights and things of that sort. And so we're not looking for polling for lights. We're looking for lights. So
That's all I needed. That's all.
I'm letting you all know that I'm working on it. If anybody, my next step is going to be to call the Department of Transportation and say, where we can get some lights from.
That's what I'm like. I see the state putting them lights in them. How hard is it bottom? Then they down up where Wyndham's at, they putting the lights up. That was my next point. The state doing it.
The state
house. The state house. You're right. That's what I'm saying. We're gonna check it out.
So that's gonna be my next thing, if I can have it.
We can stop that at that. It looks good. The area that he's talking about, it looks pretty good.
They're getting away from all the lines. Those, what they said in the email, to erect those poles and put up the lights, it's about $20,000 a piece, a corner.
That look more modern.
It's modern, but it's costly.
Others is
Councilwoman.
So I was letting you all know where I'm at.
Councilwoman Benjamin, Councilman Stewart.
I just want to ask, that light that's on the corner of Franklin
That's
and
a
Jail
bad
Chapel,
light.
where do we get that light from?
From Public Works, they went and got it from out there and put it up.
That thing gonna cause an accident.
They gonna kill somebody.
And it looks bad. It's not one of our newer lights, and it looks like it's the same color.
That's like one of the preschool lights.
But now that's the only one in the city.
And they get a lot of people tickets too.
Yeah, you don't know where the blue stop, that thing's laid for so long.
That's where I got knocked off the block at. Like, car hit me, my car spent around, hit the stop sign, bent down to the ground. Same spot.
Later.
You got hit too?
I was going to church.
I'm still in court about it now.
And I'm tell you what, the Lord take care of me. I had the light.
Yeah.
The next thing I know.
I did too.
And I stopped and I looked to my left. There was a car spinning down the street, all the way down the Green Street. And I just got out.
That like danger.
On the front of the car. And the guys that own the car wash, that's the three of them. They came and said, "You all right, Councilman?" They said, "Councilman, you lucky. If she hit you broad, T-bone you, you've been dead." Because she was doing 50 to 60 miles an hour and she ran the light. She goes to her, she did admit to the officer that she did run that light.
My person wanted me.
And the president who remember my church, he saw me in distress. And he came back, so what could he do? I thanked him for stopping, but it was all control.
Same light.
Same light.
But let me ask you this, could you tell which light was which color? Because I
can't really tell it.
Well, I don't think that light was up there.
Oh, okay, it was a different light.
I know it was the light, the old light with the shades on it. And I posted jail church. I had
new lights.
And next thing, you know, when things happen, you just don't see it, man. No. But as she did things, and they took her, they said she was doing 50 to 60.
That's who was.
Yeah, T-bone me, I didn't
One the same person?
I don't know. All right, Councilwoman.
Okay, I'm just gonna do number 9 and 10. You know, I have those other two announcements for tomorrow. Phone and internet service for the council office. I don't want there to be problems when it's time for the companies to come in, Mr. President. So I think we probably need to put a memo in writing to let them know who will be on site. The two companies that will be on site and y'all are comical tonight.
No, I'm just looking at the wire hanging.
I thought the phone was in.
They came in, but they have not finished, right?
You can always phone 412.
It always allows us to call out, you just can't call.
Oh,
yeah. And still no internet. Still can. You can do work, if you do work in Microsoft Word, good luck because you can't print it. You cannot print from here. God bless this lady that's been printing from home. God bless you with some ink, or at least.
Well, I want to ask you, I just had a cable hooked up my place. This gentleman from Spectrum said he came down 3 times to try to get something done down here. But every time they come and ask certain people, they don't have no clue or nothing about it. So the work order went in, but he don't know what to do when he get it. He said nobody here to talk with him.
So we don't need people to intercept. I was told that if they did get intercepted, they had a second way that they could do it just by coming in the council office. Is that still true?
We're dealing with Pineville, Cellcom, Institute that y'all voted on in the past. We're gonna let them come in simultaneously, so they'll be here the same day, at the same time working. So you know if it's involved, both of them at the same time. So
we working on that.
I did not allow us to go into contract, we just said, hey, stop, you don't owe anything here. Because it has been, we have had wires wires have been ran. So.
But they do know what to do with it.
They do.
Okay.
Well, what's Spectrum come in? Spectrum Sharp.
We need phone and internet.
So
we did both.
Oh, okay.
Spectrum chief.
Cellcom is gonna do the phone, Pineville is gonna do the internet. Now, Spectrum is gonna come in because the city already.
Oh, we had a bid from Spectrum. We didn't choose that, right? Okay.
Because the city already deals with Spectrum.
He came and do it, but he didn't try to come in.
Well, whoever we voted on was supposed to come do work. I don't know.
We voted
It's
on
only 2 invoices.
Cellcom, but Cellcom phone at $25.
So, Mr. President, if you could write a memo so that when they are on site, let them know who will be on site and that they are not intercepted.
Remind me.
Please. Work order requests, council members, I know that you all continue to submit your work order requests. Some of you are doing it yourself, some of you are giving it to Ms. Ellison. Either way, continue to do that because we are not day-to-day operations. I know that they're being returned to you no matter which way you deliver them, I know that they're being to return. But we are not going to continue to submit those work order requests, because they go down there and they're supposed to be delegated to the correct department.
Ms. Ellis?
Actually, I think it's been about a week or so now. Some council members, your emails are bouncing back, but I have set it up to continue to send it through to the mayor's office and the public works department for 49 hours. Now, after 49 hours, it's just not gonna go. Councilwoman Jackson's are coming back. As of today, I just realized Ms. Wade's are coming back. And this evening, Ms. Ivy's are now coming back to me. So those people emails are not getting through to the mayor's office.
So just please continue to hand those as you have hand delivered those, and make the documentation as you deliver those as you have been. Continue to submit your work order request. So when we are contracting these folks and say, why are you contracting somebody to do X, Y, Z? Well, we had a public works department that was not given the authority to come do it. And so we had to get it done.
On the work orders, I'll tell you what I have done. And I did it.
And not just
I did it for the simple reason because I needed work done.
Yeah.
I submitted work order with Nikki, which we have a contract. And because we have not officially been informed that we have an administrative assistant that is housed in the clerk's office, she is supposed to have an hour of work too. So what I do, I put in the same work order with Ms. Harris downstairs. I done that, ain't got nothing back. But I have sufficed the rules, so there was no excuse.
No. Do you have an email address? Because I send it to everybody. I don't mind.
Also, Ms. Harris is working hand in hand with me because she's having a lot of difficulty. So we are working hand in hand to try to get it done as much as possible. She do leave your messages, like if you all have written messages, I think I screenshot some to Councilwoman Jackson. She'll just place them in the mailbox because I guess she's been hit with resistance too.
We're not going to respond.
We don't want to get in trouble, so let's not, since she's cooperating with us, so, okay, then, David. Edit that. We don't want to wake up and she's gone. All right, so edit that part.
Okay. Councilwoman Thomas, you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to say, which she had me too today, but she did tell me that she gave them to Nunty. She said they recommend they wanted to talk to the council person, but we were gone. And she took down all the notes, and she said, but they said, no, we want to talk to our council person. So, but she did take their request, and I did go out in the rain when we got back. I went over there and see what they was talking about. But I'm gonna get her to put a work order in, requested for the department head, the sewage to go out there to make sure that they don't have raw sewage. I have two major problems with raw sewage. So all I can do is put the request in and then they go from there. That's all.
Councilman Johnson, last item.
Yeah, let me say this, I don't want to wait too long, I know we're going to do that by tomorrow. We really have to go ahead and Ms. Wade find some funding to be able to take care of the supplement pay for the guys at the recreation department. Baseball season had already officially started. I see Dallas County High School out there playing. You got to keep in mind, the department heads come to work from 8 to get off work at 4:30. These guys come to work 8:30, be out there 11, 12 o'clock at night. These guys got to get paid. Now, if you want to pay them overtime, we pay them overtime. You know, it'd be cheaper paying them overtime at the state because we got a lot of events and stuff got to be coming up. Like this Councilwoman Jackson, I think you got a bid coming up soon in March too, like April. Baseball, football gonna be coming up. These guys gotta be there all night with it.
So are you saying pay them on top of the additional money that you all received? Because they're still receiving the salaries.
Oh,
they are supposed to take it away.
I thought it was voted on.
Not our part.
Not our part.
Yeah.
Also, they is getting extra money already from the,
They're getting paid the salaries that you all voted to receive when they were managing the sports plays. So are you talking about giving them money on top of that money?
No. What I'm saying is, I'm thinking they was just getting, because of course, I haven't been here because my brother's sick. My question is, and all I knew, I talked to President Bowie, he said that the counterpart was taken off. But I was hoping, praying that the city part for them overseeing the sports plays wasn't taken off.
No, it's not. It's still on there.
Okay, so in other words, if Terry's salary is for being a director Is how much?
68,000.
The 68.
49 regular.
That's what he's getting paid currently.
Yeah.
68.
So 68,000, that's including his supplement pay for doing what he's supposed to be doing?
What was the sports play, when they were managing the sports play, they're still getting currently paid their salary.
Okay, so it didn't even cut you?
No.
Oh, well, shit.
But
I'm thinking
if you want to pay them on top of that.
No, I'm just trying to get up to date. I wasn't here. And in order for me to get there, I need to know. And I talked to President Bowie about putting a hold, because I knew I wasn't here. I'm on the recreation department now. I'm up to date now. They still get paid, but I guess okay.
All right.
But we good. That's okay.
With the consent agenda tomorrow, give a rundown real quick. The mileage rate, place that on consent. Also, the $2,500 for the census 2020 contract for Councilman LaShaw, Robert Phillips. Okay, Councilman Johnson, go ahead and give you the go ahead for that downtown. Right. MOU. Attorney, would you be able to get that to me?
Yes.
I understand tomorrow. Okay, the Jubilee, what Sam was supposed to be getting that to me. And also we have an attorney bill for $1,800.
What for? He ain't gave.
$1,800. Now, Councilman Shaw, we can put that on the consent agenda too.
No, I mean, just discontinue.
Pay the $1,800.
You got to pay the $1,800.
We can't pay that, we gotta pay
What we said about that
I can have on this.
Pay the $1,800.
We gotta pay that.
Go ahead.
We paying him money, and he didn't even send the letter which we requested for
Have you looked at it? I see
Mr.
what
President, and he told us.
I looked at it, but I'm saying ain't nothing happened.
That the attorney that was with him, he was not gonna charge us for that. Remember that?
What's that now?
Remember that attorney that came with him? He
Oh,
said-
and the Benjamin on there is not Angela Benjamin.
I know that ain't true.
Just so y'all know.
He told us that there would be no charge for his services.
Are you talking about when Bobby came?
Bobby
That man
came
went
library, that
Yeah, he said he wasn't charging.
He wasn't
for
charging,
all that stuff.
but it's on the bill.
Wait, you told,
Let me look at it.
he told us he wasn't charging him.
I'm gonna remind him,
Yeah.
I'm gonna remind him, I'm saying, Bobby, I'm charging.
Yeah, need to- just so we don't need to vote on that right now.
Just hold up.
Yeah, hold up on that bill.
No, let me look at it.
Now, if he says that we don't supposed to pay him, we don't need,
He
we
did
need
say he was
to
not
talk to that
charging.
deal.
He did
I
say he
don't
was
want to
not
pay that bill.
charging for Wallace, he did.
For both of them?
Is it on the date that he came down?
Yeah.
That's what we now need to do.
Well,
That was the
That's
28th.
same day,
Yeah, his name was on our bill,
Yeah.
so obviously he was.
I mean, he could work with him in the office, but when he came
we
down,
made
it
him
was
just
Yeah, but he
128.
came here and told us his service would not be charged. That's what he told
That
us.
what he
Look at
said?
the line with
Let me look at
council.
it.
Right, but what I'm saying is that he's not charging us on the date that he came down, because he came down on the 28th, and this
So
stopped
this man
on
name
the
is on the
20th.
bill, that's the only time we see
What
this
he did
man.
for
Actually, he may have done some office work.
That's what I keep saying. He's
Yeah,
working
he
hard.
probably did some office work.
For who?
Because Wallace did some work, let me tell you something, don't underestimate the work, the value of his work.
That bill is.
It wasn't the date of our
Before he
executive
came.
session and, that meeting, he's
And
not
then
down there for
we're
that.
looking at some other stuff on that that's eating up a lot of that time.
That what
We need to discontinue his service, Mr. President.
he ain't
Mr.
gave us
President, for the
ours.
record,
Huh?
he sent me my bill,
Hey,
and I'm paying it.
hey, you need to take a look at this.
Mr.
Oh,
President,
that-
could we have
yeah,
a consent
I want to
agenda?
see what he charged.
Service no longer needed, no more.
Huh? Oh, what you need?
Mr. President, could we have on the consent agenda his service no longer be used? This man is tracked up.
He texted. Shit, he charged me for texting.
Okay.
Y'all been cussing tonight.
All right, then. All right, we got more stuff.